All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're actually live. I think we're actually doing it. We're in the Bay, chat. We made it. We're live from the Bay. Holy cow, we did it. IT actually made the setup work. I don't know what they almost made work there, chat. Hey, yo, but we are in the hotel room. We are chilling. I don't even know what the volume levels are at right now. The earbuds are messing up the in the room volume levels. I can barely hear myself. And I don't know if we want the first live audience to be the people walking outside the hotel room door. It is what it is. But we got a live show anyways for you tonight, people. And even better yet, we got sports on in the background as well. College football is in full swing. I don't know if you can tell at this point, but the TV is right above us too. So this is interesting. It is good to, at least for this room, this setup that we're in, for the live stream. And this is, again, part of the main reason that we were anticipating being able to go live tonight is because we knew that this place was definitely going to be able to swing it and make it work for the high budget Rem and Sam setup for sure. But we were, of course, we got to the Bay Wednesday night, so we had a room in actually the San Francisco area. Yeah, we're in an undisclosed location, I guess, right now in the Bay, but we had a room in another part of the Bay for Wednesday night, and then Thursday bumming around the Bay a little bit, and then we're there Thursday night, and then midnight we're over here for again, like our current location for tonight. And the other room that we had was a great room, great location, really checked all the boxes. But again, we were trying to watch at least the return of college football. Wouldn't have necessarily done the trick. It only had like 7 channels, and the only real good one to watch was Food Network. And for some reason, the version of Food Network that was in this room only had Guy Fieri on it. So I don't know what was going on there. But it was just local news channels, a bunch of other random stuff. But it was for the best. We were not in the room that much, anyways. It's just for nighttime, like you guys know, we're TV on in the background, live art chat. It is what it is the entire time. So I guess Guy Fieri, not the it's some good, I guess, live art. I don't know, high quality. And with the time difference stuff, again, we're still adjusting to that for the sports cycle. But chat, it might even be worse for the Food Network programming. Hey, yo. It's basically all just competitive stuff now. It's the main reason we don't even watch it anymore. It used to just be good old school cooking shows back in the day, but now it's just all the competitive stuff. The competitive stuff is fun. I mean, there was nothing better to, Nightcap and shout out to Nightcap. It is what it is now, but the back in the day, the Nightcap used to be Iron Chef America or something along those lines, but you still had a pretty wide range of just the how-to, just somebody in the kitchen just messing around, cooking some food, showing you how to make a dish. Like, at the end of the day, that's really what we want from Food Network. It's trying to be, of course, like I guess it's HBO. I was gonna say, is it? Yes, it's not like a ESPN. Is it Food Network secretly ESPN Plus? Hey, yo, because with the amount of competitiveness sports, again, it feels like it could be. But HBO, they might as well just roll it into the Bleacher Report section. At this point, who's over on HBO that could be covering Food Network? Again, it would be, I guess, Guy's grocery games. We're locked in now, chat. Like we were saying, it was the only thing that was on. Hey, yo, shout out! It's good. This one's even got Pluto. So we just had to just go scroll through and be like, hey, old times, chat. Welcome back. But no, I mean, of course, the Bay. I guess hot take, chat. Maybe it is a hot take. I don't know, but the Bay is pretty great, pretty fun. Definitely, with any trip, you always wish you had more time. I mean, just being in vacation mode is always, kind of fun. But just the amount of days that I think you need in a particular area to kind of map it out and then know what you want to do over the course of the next couple of days. And at least are you going to be in a spot long enough to build a routine? I guess, of course, there are travel plans where you're, taking extended trips and stuff like that. I was thinking more, the casual traveler, if there was, again, you're going to be there at a point to where you're actually going to develop a consistent routine. But at least if you could, at least start to dabble in that, it could be interesting. But, we were just really only there for the one day. So it's like spending the day figuring out how to navigate all. Because, I guess as well, too, being from the Midwest, just the idea of navigating a big city, it's just figuring out how to bounce from like the transportation lines and stuff like that. And make no mistake, I think if we were ranking, Rem and Sam attributes, at least on, the Iowa side of the pod, again, our sense of navigation is not the best. So for us specifically, trying to bounce around in those things, it is not gonna happen. But the yeah, we were able to figure out, and really ultimately, again, getting lost, we did comb quite a large part of the bay, so it ultimately ended up being a good thing. We were able to explore around a little bit, and we're able to again see quite a good scope of things, hit a couple of spots, some good food. I was trying to tell myself, limit the food. You're gonna like try to find ways to be economical and the cheap budget options. And we're not heavy spend. I guess we're only limited to so much here. There's certain areas you're just not even going to be approaching, because like obviously the idea of buying that type of expensive stuff, it's just, of course, it's not even an option. But for whatever, I guess, like, the high end of the budget that you're shopping in, we've definitely been a little bit more on the higher. I wouldn't say we've been maxing out necessarily, but we have been again, splurging a little bit. It's the food scene. I mean, how can you not? As well too, of course, it's just like, oh, I guess we're gonna get ramen over here, we're gonna get tacos over here, we're gonna get pizza over here. The pizza we had today was pretty good. I think Golden Boy is a pretty iconic San Francisco spot. I don't know a ton of the famous like Bay Area locations. Again, the food scene wise as well too, it would, I guess, any type of food scene stuff, it would just be, again, like, I guess anything that you saw on Food Network, or back in the day anyways, or on Instagram or something now. But in terms of, again, knowing like whatever the hot names were outside of like a David Chang restaurant, I really wouldn't know what they are. But we were, again, obviously all the places we stumbled into were great. I think ultimately, if you're chasing just kind of the simple food stuff, if you're going for like a nice, again, the higher end stuff, then maybe you want to look at what you're getting yourself into a little bit. But if you are just getting food and just getting a quick bite to eat, I just honestly just go with vibes. It is what it is. Everything is, pretty close to equal quality in terms of doing the research. Is this the 5-star place? Is this the 3-star place? Hey, yo, it's like, do you take tap to pay? Then I'm, hey, yo, what are we talking about? Hey, yo, 2025 mobile chat. Hey, yo, Apple Pay. I think before Apple Pay, tap to pay meant something else, chat. Hey, yo. But, again, now it's like you accept the Apple Pay, we're good to go. But, yeah, again, we were able to wander around a little bit. We did make it over to Chase Center as well, too. We did scroll past there. That was pretty cool. There is this one, like, outdoor, I'm guessing it was like the outdoor seating area to like a cafe, bar situation. But because there was a bunch of TV, of course, tables out there. But one of the TVs was on, and it was frozen on some just random moment from the 2022 finals. It just, shout out like the last high point in the Golden State Warriors franchise. The Warriors vibes they're interesting right now. I guess the Niners vibes as well too. I almost said the Raiders vibes. Hey, yo, chap. Yikes, it is what it is. I don't know. I guess there's still going to be probably some carryover fans. But, shout out, of course, the great city of Oakland, with the run that they have with their teams. Of course, great, passionate fan bases all the way around. It's just, unfortunate stuff. But I don't know about the Niners. But, I mean, again, the Niners are definitely in the air. But it is kind of an interesting season. And obviously, from a roster standpoint, they don't have the same amount of in depth of the talent that they've had in the past, but they still have some of the stud guys to where you think that they could still be competitive enough for there to be a buzz in the air. But again, the Warriors thing as well too, just from the belovedness standpoint, because Steph is still, I would guess, the most beloved athlete in the Bay Area. I don't know, is Fred Warner up there? I don't know. I doubt it, Chad. Hey, yo, I mean, shout out to Fred Warner. Fred Warner definitely, just in terms of, again, like we said, Rem and Sam biasness. I don't know. I guess Steph is pretty, hot take. Steph's pretty high up on the list as well, too. But, yeah, this is on the TV. It's like we're at a sports bar with you guys right now. We're just, like, looking up at the TV directly in front of us. We would scoot back, but shout out. We didn't, we didn't bring the long enough mic cable, so we're kind of trapped at this distance right here. And we've got this is, again, a great setup, except for the ice bucket mic stand that we got going on right now, which is, again, kind of limiting us to our range of mobility. But yeah, I guess anyways, the one TV was just randomly frozen on this this first quarter play in 2022 finals, I couldn't even see what game it was because the bus that I was on just was driving past it, and it was kind of far away. I couldn't read that part of the scoreboard. Hey, I'm not saying I'm squinting over here reading billboards. We're not complaining, but that situation was definitely the pixelation. I don't know. It was definitely out of our reach, but we were able. It was. I guess we could go look up and see. Maybe we won't do it. We won't stumble around and try to find it now. It'll take a little bit too much time, I think. But it was like 20. I feel like they were losing as well too. Was it 22-23 or 21-22? This is just Rem and Sam Pod Whisper Edition as well too. Hey yo, that was used to be behind a paywall, but I guess now it's right here. But Rem and Sam ASMR, who knows? But yeah, again, were they losing 22-23? But it was like 20 some seconds, a lot of 20s going on, 20 some seconds left in the first quarter. So it wasn't even like a moment when I feel like Steph had started to, maybe he did have like one of those crazy first quarters, but obviously later on in the series, I feel like one of those second halves, I forget exactly which game was the one where he went like super crazy. But I think if there's a moment to just have it randomly frozen on, it would be one of those moments. Because again, that probably is the last really great moment in Warriors. I mean, it's winning a title is ultimately the last like highest high point moment that you can have as a franchise. But in terms, because again, to compare for the Spurs, like in terms of the franchise checklist, you would still consider again winning the lottery in a Wembanyama lottery and getting that type of talent still a kind of franchise checkpoint checklist type of event that you're gonna timeline the franchise to that type of thing. I'm trying to think if they've had any other timeline type events. I don't know if there's a. See, Chad, this is how the Marvel universe is slipping, because there would have been a Marvel reference right there, a TVA Loki type of situation that we could have made a reference to, but I just don't remember the universe that well. Of course, we're just fans of the movies. If we'd read some of the comics as well too, maybe our knowledge of the TVA would be more locked in. Hey yo, but again, there isn't like another. I guess outside of just the team leaving and them just starting to go in a different direction, that type of way. But I don't know if you would necessarily consider. Maybe you would consider the Klay Thompson leaving of it. Do they consider the Klay Thompson dating Megan Thee Stallion as part of the success of the Warriors franchise? I don't know how the Warriors fans still count the Klay Thompson accolades into the mix, because the Mavs. I don't know if the Mavs and the Warriors have. Like, I feel like Mavs fans would low-key be more upset, because I'm trying to think the last time that they met in the playoffs, at least the one that, if I think Mavs Warriors, the first time that I, initially think of those teams would be the time that the Warriors upset the Mavs in the playoffs in the odds, if I'm not mistaken. Was that one of the Baron Davis teams? But I'm pretty sure one of those, years that Dirk was unfortunately, eliminated from the playoffs, maybe a little earlier than you would like, was to one of those upstart Warriors teams. So that would have been, again, a fun moment for them in the past. But the idea of them actually having, again, like a real successful type thing hasn't necessarily happened since then. So, of course, the Steph stuff is still great, and there is still a stability there. You would still hope that, there's going to be some smart moves in the future as well. But there is a good Valkyries push you can see as well, too, so that's fun. Of course, the new team, it's been competitive this year. I know we could do a standings update and see exactly where they're sitting at right now. But, again, for an expansion team as well, too, you imagine that they're doing a pretty good job of being in the mix for year one. So that was fun. And, again, speaking of the Warriors thing, we did see of all of the Warriors player, poster situations, and I feel like, again, we were looking out for it. It's just gonna be one of those things. I guess we're gonna be noticing it. AO is degenerate basketball fans, but the only one I noticed, and maybe just stood out because it was, again, so weird. But it was just a Kevon Looney. So shout out, maybe it was in memoriam. He's now with the other former Warrior, Jordan Poole, with the Pelicans, but again, he's not any longer on the Warriors. And even when he was on the Warriors, he had gotten to the point where he's like their seventh man. So, I mean, was he ever, shout out? He's always, again, a great rotation guy for him, and could, seventh man, but could dabble into being into the final five as well, too, in certain moments. And, again, they also have Draymond as the center, peak of his powers for most of the Looney run there. So, if talking about maximum lineup abilities, that Draymond at the five was about as special as you're going to get, for sure. I mean, defensively, still basically there. We have to work compliments here, Jack, 'cause we don't know who's who's on the other side of these walls in the hotel room. He's gonna be like, "What did he say about Draymond?" And then next thing you know, we're gonna get knocked out the door. I don't know if it's gonna be this, or they're not gonna get complaints about the noise levels. We get complaints about criticizing the Warriors' big three from back in the day. Hey yo, oh chat, do we have a first upset of the season for college football? I don't know, because we'll I guess see how good Army is for the rest of the year. But Tarleton State just beat Army in a is that a good tag, Seth? Chat, he's even affecting the football team. But they just got him with a walk-off field goal, 30-27. In double overtime. So shout out to Tarleton State. Ballard for the Colts did draft a guy from. I'm trying to remember which player we drafted from Tarleton State, but that name is actually not again new to us because of that, because we do have experience with them in the NFL. So who knows? After this type of upset, maybe with this team transfer portal, there's some Tarleton guy. Again, we drafted the guy. He applied for the NFL draft from Tarleton State. So maybe there's guys now that will transfer from Tarleton State to a bigger school and then get drafted from Tarleton State that way as well. But yeah, shout out. This is maybe this is the start of something, because again, Ballard hasn't been there for crazy long. I mean, he's probably been there for nearly a decade now. But I feel like that was he might be just up, like his rookie contract might be just up. It wasn't a first round pick though, so I guess he wasn't necessarily locked in on a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, whatever. But the idea of him, I guess it may have been within the last 4 or 5 years generally. But should we even mention this game that we have on in the background? AO chat, Georgia Tech versus Colorado. I feel like last year, the first game that I sat down and watched from a college football season might have been Colorado as well too. So I mean, Deion Sanders is obviously big name value for the sport, so he's going to get one of those early draws for just, again, in a Friday game, not necessarily Saturday. You can kind of get a primetime game in a way in the spot, and you don't even have two ranked teams, and maybe it's like Deion is, obviously if Colorado was preseason ranked 14, 17, then, even better. You're getting that extra, hype as well too. But again, you still get the primetime effect there with the necessarily the same teams, because tomorrow again the slate is pretty stacked for that week 1 drama. I mean, Clemson versus LSU being advertised right now, and this is they're just giving us the ESPN slate again. We got Texas versus Ohio State is probably the biggest matchup of the day as well too. But 13-13 right now as the third quarter winds down, so we're going to get to see the fourth quarter of this game. And again, I guess just personally, chat, I misspoke. I guess did the touchdown register? Oh, not quite yet. Spoiler alert if this is the way that you're following the game, I guess. But the Georgia Tech just scored a touchdown again. Haynes King running it in from 18 yards. So his effectiveness on the ground has definitely picked up here, and the fact that they're even winning this game is crazy. They started, I mean, again, is this their first game of the season for Georgia Tech? They didn't have a random week 0 game. So for them to start the season the way they did, the first 3 possessions, they had 3 turnovers to, again, literally start the year. So do they have a new coach? They showed a stat that last year they had just 10 turnovers in general. And I know that one of those ACC teams, and the ACC was not necessarily the strongest conference last year, but I think they had a couple, I forget who, again, all the coaches are, but like Pitt, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, one of those teams with gold in their colors was like a fun, coach situation, and he seemed like a rising name. Or they got a guy again, I just don't remember. So here, should we, double check Georgia Tech from last year? Hey, yo, chat. Let's see what they got. But again, they might take down Deion. Oh, again, I guess this is we're looking on the NFL page. Shout out. This is a college team. But again, NFL in full effect next week. So football is here, chat. We finally made it. Let's go. Obviously, we're, more excited than we sound if we're just not in this hotel room. It is what it is. But chat, should we let them know it's the Rem and Sam pod? Maybe they'll be like, you give us the suite. I guess they probably got a couple silent rooms. Hey yo, that's crazy. But we're looking for last year. This is this year's Georgia Tech team. Brent Key, yeah, Brent Key was there last year, 7-6. Let's see what his run has been since 2022. Lost in the Birmingham Bowl, was preseason ranked at 23rd at one point in the year, but at 7-6 they didn't finish in the top 25, and they were 7-6 the year before as well too. 4-4 the year before that in a shortened year, so really 500 all of the games. And again, we might be more hyped up on Dion than we are Brent Key. Shout out, but Dion is kind of in that 500 range as well too. He's kind of looking to break out of that, and this is going to be interesting to see him without Shedeur, because just the name value. I think again, Dion had Shedeur at, well, not just the name value, but again, he had him at Jackson State as well too. He's the only quarterback that he's had at the couple of schools. So just the fact that that's the case, it means that Dion hasn't been coaching in the college landscape for very long as well too, which is something to remember. But again, this is now him recruiting other guys. Just that whole thing, the recruitment of Shedeur. Shedeur was a high enough level recruit throughout the processes at the level. Like, if he had gone directly into the FBS, what was he? Maybe a 3 or a 4, but he might have been a 5-star guy. I don't know if Bronny was a 5-star. Was Shedeur a 5-star, Chad? Hey, I know it's different sides of the rankings, but the 24/7 staff in general, are we just pro nepotism at 24/7? I mean, we are at the Rem and Sam pod, so I don't know if a real established network is also, I mean, could they possibly be, Chad, a real established network? Hey, we're looking at ESPN on this TV screen right now. Hey, but what are we talking about? We're pro Shedeur, so again, I don't know what we're saying here, but again, it's him now having to go recruit different guys to see what kind of offenses and stuff he's going to continue to run, what kind of talent he continues to gravitate toward. And I do think that is weirdly a spot that he might have draw with as well too. Again, he got Travis. Did he get Travis Hunter first? And Travis Hunter was actually, again, the 24/7 recruit guy that he got as well too. He was the number 1 overall guy when he got him to go to Jackson State. But again, Dion, you would think that the defense and the corners and all that stuff would be probably the number 1 spot that he would be established at. And just that would be where he would have the most sway, the coaching, the recruiting, all the different stuff. But their defense this year as well, again, the run game stuff has not necessarily been super great. I mean, again, Georgia Tech they got the 20 just now at the end of the third quarter. So they're not necessarily, again, are they struggling on offense? They're not cooking, but they're not necessarily, again, going to help Colorado's case for the defensive stats if they can continue to move the ball on the ground as well too. Again, Hayes King's mobility has given him a little bit of an issue, and I do think that, again, we may see Shedeur actually, again, we're pro Shedeur here, so I'm actually willing to, see this outcome compared to what you hear a lot of people talk about. But Shedeur might actually be a good NFL quarterback, and, Flacco's going to get the start. But you do watch the training camp stuff, and you watch it does seem like Shedeur might actually, in maybe Jackson Dart is, maybe we need to just actually look at this quarterback class as well too, because again, we were a little bit down on it. Like Cam Ward was he did get picked number 1 overall, so in terms of the draft value, it was definitely there for him as well. But the rest of the class, it did fall. I mean, again, speaking of Shedeur falling, obviously he tumbled way down in the draft, but Jackson Dart was almost, he was in the Kenny Pickett range for the first round. And I think that just in the preseason, I guess Kenny Pickett did have some fun preseason moments, so we can't just say on the preseason that Jackson Dart is better than Kenny Pickett. But it does seem like there's some arm strength, just some physical stuff that he may be able to bring to the table, some processing stuff that is just a little bit quicker than maybe what Kenny Pickett was able to provide as well too. Because again, I guess in the reads, it's not like he's been, who's kind of I guess a Brock Purdy. There is a Brock Purdy kind of lane, even though Brock Purdy is, got good ability on the deep ball with the touch passes and stuff for sure. He's, he may not be rifling it in over the middle deep ball type stuff, but of course, if he's got to kind of, loft it over some guys, he can definitely make that throw for sure. But it does seem like, again, Kenny Pickett, of course, just unfortunately a little bit more limited with the types of throws that he can make. So I guess if you could design the absolutely perfect offense for Kenny Pickett, I guess there is a way, chat. Hey, But I guess he's not even on the Browns. I don't remember why what's Kenny. Oh yeah, because Jackson Dart was drafted in that Kenny Pickett range. And then again, so who else was in the Kenny Pickett? I mean, Dylan Gabriel was in the draft as well too. But he honestly, he was a good player. So again, there was some definite sleeper talent at the quarterback spot, more so than just the straight hyped up talent. But I do wonder if the Shador thing did add a little bit of value to that pick as well too, because the idea of him being a 5th round quarterback, like he may, again, the Browns with Flacco, if Shador's not there, maybe you're looking at a path for him to still start as well too. But I don't know if we're necessarily thinking, is he Bo Nix? I mean, I guess there again is a version of that conversation there, because there's definitely parallels. But I think the degree to which people kind of triumph it in a way is that even the right way to use is the degree to which people again just kind of use that argument or believe in it maybe gets heightened by the fact there's this other part that they kind of have to be anti a little bit. They feel like they got to be anti against with the Shador thing again for some reason as well too. But again, you see all the stuff, and maybe it's just again our algorithm is only feeding us pro Shador things. Chat, ayo, it is what it is. But it does seem like there is legitimate path that he is at least the best quarterback in that Browns room, and that we will see him play some legitimate snaps this year as well too. But from a Colorado standpoint, I want from his ability again to at least extend some of the stuff as well. Pause is definitely we'll see be underrated, not just from their success ability, because again we made the jokes about them as a 500 team when they announced that he was getting his number retired. But again, shout out. But his ability to lift that offense competitively as well too in certain games, and again be able to create some stuff outside of what the players were able to do. Because I guess the long way of saying what I'm kind of watching their offense do tonight is it's not the most well play called offense, and I just I'm not necessarily a game script guy. I don't even play Madden that much, so I feel like even some Madden players could be like, okay, I can at least give you my Madden game script, and maybe that's better, just the cohesion of that put together. But it does seem like the ability for them to kind of set some stuff. They have, the short stuff, and they have definitely hit a couple of the deeper shots tonight as well. But I do like the Salters quarterback that they got from Liberty as well. I don't know if we just kind of think that Liberty, we're kind of just wanting them to be a sleeper quarterback universe, because again, they did have Malik Willis, who, shout out, maybe the NFL thing, maybe he is a really good backup in the NFL, who knows? But he was a good quarterback in college, got the NFL level hype. And again, Liberty is not a college that would ever have had that in some type of way. So it's just like randomly this, college emerges as just like, I don't even remember where they were at before that, Chad. Because they weren't FCS. But because FCS is kind of fun, but you don't necessarily get FCS teams like moving up into the FBS. So I guess again, just like the idea of a team moving up into the FBS, and now they're getting real quarterback process. It's just kind of interesting to see a school progress in that type of way. And maybe now again in NIL, is it one of those schools that you can kind of look at the quarterback? Can we get transfers in there if they're weirdly being able to turn over that talent at that spot? But it does seem like he has some really good ability, and he is going up against a 5-star recruit as well too. So again, it's like Deion's got a couple of guys. I don't know where Salters was ranked in the quarterback transfer class, and I guess we could try to here. I guess it won't take that long to search that up here, because we know where to go. Chat. Hopefully this is not the hotel Wi-Fi. I think this is just our computer. 246 Sports? No, 20. Just like, okay, what's the sports site that is almost, covering sports 24/7, 24/6, chat? We do take a day off, but on the other days, we cover it 24 hours. Ayo. Let's see here. Michigan commit to visit UNC for season opener. Okay. Let's see what I guess we'll have to see what that's about. Some different time chat. Oh, here we go. Football recruiting, transfer portal. I don't remember exactly off the top of the noggin who the top quarterbacks were in the mix. But TJ Finley, where'd he go? Georgia? Is that Georgia Southern? And then I don't know. But is this even for the class that is happening right now? Do we need the 2024 class? Let's see here if we can go sort it by quarterbacks as well too. That'd probably be the helpful way to do it. So we got Cornelius Brown. Is that Alabama A&M? Grady Brosterhouse to Virginia. Okay, we'll have to see when this guy actually committed. Okay, maybe we do need to go. I guess this is literally just sorted by year. Do they not have classes? I thought they did have transfer portal rankings for the players. Maybe this is just the transfer portal news. Am I crazy, Chad? Am I missing the transfer portal? Here, I guess we'll go player rankings after this and see, or we'll probably have it listed on his player page as well if we can actually find out when this happened. It happened in April. Hey, yo, he's had time to learn the playbook, chat, so he knows that it's not going to work. I guess here we can just go to Colorado and see, because I guess we do know that they recruited that 5-star quarterback from the actual 2025 class. Ooh, number 1 quarterback going to Tennessee. Is that with Heupel? And then the number 2 quarterback going to Houston. Ooh, chat, Houston. I was gonna say Cam Ward, but that's Washington State. Who was at Houston a couple years ago? I feel like they just had a quarterback prospect. Did they have Case Keenum? Is that who I'm thinking about? That put up a ton of stats, but somebody. And then Maryland, NIL, chat. You got Tennessee spending money. Maryland getting recruits. Texas Tech has got top 6 tackle. I think they're just going crazy with the spending right now. I mean, shout out Michigan as well too with the running back. I think that is hopefully, going to be a hit, Chad, with the pick. Oh, wait a second. We're still trying to track down. Okay, so we did say it was going to be just a second, but that's definitely not true. And maybe it's working out for the best. Colorado's driving, and did they just get a flag? Or, draw a penalty? Georgia State's going to get a penalty here, and it's going to move them down. I mean, Colorado's a little bit of a penalized team. I wouldn't say that they've been the cleanest team. And again, that was another thing that jumped out early was it does seem like, and this is sort of maybe again their ability speaks to their ability to kind of the team that they're able to compete with on a week-to-week basis. But it does seem like their cornerback play is almost dependent a little bit on the respect that the refs give them. Like there's a physicality that they were playing with earlier where it's like, you're going to get penalized here. And again, maybe Deion's promoted. It's like, force the refs to, establish early what is going on. So, we'll just kind of need to see how that affects over the course of the season. But some of the penalties were able to get them, felt like get Georgia Tech going as well too a little bit. Hey, yo. So where is this Colorado? Okay, we've got 2 Michigan players before we get a Colorado player. We do like to see. Oh, we got a Georgia Tech got a safety. So is he on the field right now? Tay Harris? Hey, yo. Well, is there any chance that he can transfer to Michigan? Just sorry to Georgia Tech, but I don't know if your guys are totally safe. Georgia Tech is. I mean, there is probably, of course, an extra tier of the FBS Power 5 schools that are recruiting from the other Power 5 schools as well. Okay, so Colorado refuses to be lifted. Oh, he is, I guess, a 4-star, dropped to number 10, but he was ranked a 5-star at one point. So, who knows what the reason they dropped him down was as well too. If it was on the field, 6 foot, there is, I guess, you sometimes wonder if they're going NFL or they going college. I do think that they are going college. But they're 16th in the transfer portal ranking last year. LSU number 1, 12 4-stars from a transfer perspective. And Deion, of course, I feel like is, just kind of definitely made that a part of his strategy as well, too, to try to work guys up a little bit. And I guess get guys from other schools. I guess we got Florida State, LSU. Speaking of Tennessee in the mix, again, just making the transfer portal part of his major process. Does he not want to go recruit the high school? Like just that part of the process? Would he but I think that it's an experience thing as well too. But I don't know. There is just, I think, maybe a practical team building conversation. I know that maybe the NIL thing doesn't quite work into a salary cap thing, maybe the same way that these other sports do. And again, maybe some 5-star recruits would cost more than transfer portal uh, candidates if that were the case. But the uh, the idea of this guy at chat, hey yo, we can't find Salter. I feel like we should just search his name, but I don't know if. Sir, oh, here he is, chat. We're just scrolling and not paying attention. So he was only a 3-star transfer, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. As a prospect, the number 48th prospect nationally at one point. So top 50 guy. But yeah, 16th QB as a transfer. So here we go. I guess going into the season. Oh, that's right. Iamala, our guy Antetokounmpo transferred from Tennessee to UCLA. Carson Beck as well too, going from Georgia to Miami. Mater going to Oklahoma. Mendoza from Cal to Indiana. We've got an Oregon to Cal recruit, shout out. We've got a Florida State to Mississippi State. Yeah, that's right. And then Tulane to Duke. Okay, and then Duke to Murphy going to Oregon State. That could be kind of interesting. Oyunglele was good in Oregon State. That was Jonathan Smith. It's a little bit of a different situation. But that could be another sleeper team where, you go to, and, his path is Duke to Oregon State. Like, you can go Duke to NFL. Of course, we've seen guys do it in the past. I mean, you can go Oregon State to NFL for sure if you're good enough, obviously. But that does seem like a school where that may be a little bit of a launching point. You can kind of make some money there and then go make some money somewhere else. So Gronowski, where's South Dakota State to Iowa? Ooh, the Midwest, not a long drive, chat. Honestly, maybe he can just commute at this point. Midwest commutes, honestly, not even that bad. Just cross state lines. Miller Moss to Louisville, shout out. So, and then we finally get to Salter, yeah, down at 16. Air Noland from Ohio State to South Carolina. I feel like they're just giving him a respect because his name's Air Noland. But, I guess, again, Ohio State as well, too. Maybe he was a little bit more recruited going from high school. Rashada was at Georgia, chat. Hey, yo, wasn't that the guy that had the whole NIL, one of the early NIL dramas at Florida and then going to Arizona State, I think? And then maybe somewhere else. So he was at Georgia, and now where is he at? What's even this logo, chat? Hey, Rashada. Sacramento State. Whoa, Rashada. Close by, chat. Hey, yo. It is what it is. Do we need to check the snap map to see what athletes are close by? Not Debo. Of course we make it to the Bay the year Debo Samuel gets traded, chat. He should be in, his 49ers preparing for week 1, but now it's on the other side of the country. It is what it is. Colorado's still in the red zone. Been in the red zone for 5 minutes here. I don't know if they've just been exchanging penalties both ways, but it's finally third down with just about 9 minutes left to go here in the fourth quarter. And I guess they could tie. Does Dion go for 2? I feel like he could be aggressive. Oh, Pat Shurmur is the offensive coordinator? Okay, I can see it, chat. I can definitely see the way that they're going. The AO, the short to the deep stuff is crazy, but you get that sideline to sideline. It's just that overcommitment sometimes where, again, you're playing the game a little too short at times, and that can be your quarterback's ability to read the middle of the field as well too. But Salter is athletic. There he goes, yeah, taking off and getting the touchdown with the scramble. I guess we've been half paying attention a little bit, but I don't know if they've necessarily committed to his running. Again, Shador is a great scrambler, but was definitely a lot of his scrambling. And you even see, again, maybe we haven't gotten all Shador, pro Shador plays, because I am now thinking of a couple that we've gotten. Maybe I'm just remembering the only pro Shador. Oh, I'm brainwashing myself with Shador Sanders highlights. Hey, yo, Chad, that's what being biased is. But there was a couple of plays of him just trying to, extend, create too much, and then pause, and then take the sack. It's like a 20-yard sack, and we saw that a couple times in Colorado. But Salter, maybe there is a little bit more of a just like a straight line attack sort of way with his scrambling, where it's just kind of like, okay, just tuck it and run if it's not there. So we'll see what are they reviewing for his knee being down? He definitely got the first down, which on third down I guess is the point. I don't know if they review. Oh, do they have it listed at first and goal here? Okay, did they actually overturn it? Wait, let's get the replay, chat. We got it back up from the mic. Hey, yo, is there a face mask? Can they review for that? I don't know. I don't think he is down. I think he might be a touchdown. Ankle, that shin, calf. Was it down prior? I think we're even looking at the left leg at this point. And from this angle, it looks like it crossed the goal line. So I still reading at first and goal on the computer from the one. So I guess we'll just go with that. It is listing it as a 6-yard run. I guess that is what's happened. But I don't know. From this angle, that would look a little fishy. Maybe like the refs have got a little something sprinkled on the game at this point. But with a chance to tie it here again, line up at the 1 with a first down, first and goal is a good spot to be. Maybe one of those, I guess, you don't want to necessarily work more clock. If it's tied, it's not necessarily going to matter at this point. But should we? And we got football news chat right before the season. Again, walking around, we weren't necessarily walking around listening to people go like, oh, we're excited that we got Brian Robinson. We did over here, of course, as you would expect, a couple of people being like, and then I don't even know what the lead up was, but it's just like, Micah Parsons, Packers, Cowboys, just, like randomly being like, oh, you know what they're talking about at this time. Because again, Micah Parsons did actually get traded. Kind of crazy. I don't know. Does Jerry Jones just always have to do the thing that people, it's not even the thing that people don't, I guess, expect, but it is in some kind of ways, but just the thing that but also people don't want as well too. Because I wonder at what point over even the last couple of years, did they just block the extra point? It went in though. It did go. So shout out, the game is tied, but that was definitely a close call. But again, you've known that the contract, of course, extension, the rookie contract, it's not a surprise with whether or not you're having to pay him and then what the roster looks like. So the guys that you've paid and the team that you've constructed at this point, you've known that the salary cap was going to be in the spot. Maybe you didn't know, again, that your defense was going to look like this and you were going to throw away the running back position for a couple of seasons as well too. But you can't necessarily look at this and go, we don't want to pay him because of whatever kind of salary cap stuff is going on. Because again, you've kind of intentionally put yourself in that salary cap spot as well. But again, we've seen this cycle of the Jerry Jones thing in the past, even going back to, you hear other pods referencing the Emmitt Smith days. Shout out just a little bit before our time, Chad. I guess Emmitt Smith maybe did play. Did the Cardinals years go into the 2000s? I think they did. So, would have definitely overlapped there a little bit. Not with us watching him anyway. But again, you hear about the stories of those those negotiations and how those played out, and definitely, it seems like a lot of it is a lot of news, a lot of drama, a lot of headlines, and then eventually it turns out with Jerry Jones making the move to put up the money and pay the guy, and it is what it is, and you got to have the star in Dallas, and there's always been a perceived marketing thing that has been going on with Dallas as well too. And the Dallas thing is tough because at the end of the day, they are, you look at the Forbes list, they are the most valuable team in the league. But I don't know if there is, do companies just like, are they not watching football as much as they think, as we think? Like, are people in these companies not watching football? Again, not to say that they're not promoting the right stars, but just to say that, they would know who the best of the best is, and not say that the Cowboys have, they literally just had one, Micah Parsons, but just the blank check of the Cowboys are the marketing team now as well too. And like we see with the NBA, like there's that sort of conversation about these stars emerging from these small market teams, and do you need that large market to be a star in that type of way? And I guess at the end of the day, from a football standpoint as well too, he's going to another valuable franchise, at least historic franchise. I don't know where they're at in the value rankings, but maybe they are a little bit lower because they do have that weird ownership group. So I don't know. But, again, historically, a great franchise for sure. But, again, you hear time and time again of the Jerry Jones things playing out with, at the end of the day, the star player kind of ends up staying in Dallas. And Micah Parsons would have been one of those, like, at the top of the list, kind of. Again, I guess I don't know necessarily from the 90s how many of the guys he had dramatic contract battles with. Probably a couple of them, I would assume. But the Micah Parsons even still would, in an all-time sense, be up on the list of guys that you would want to keep around. From that standpoint, again, getting a pass rusher at that stage in his career and the importance of that kind of now as well too, as the game even moves into a little bit more of a passing, era, and as that becomes a easier type of thing, and as kind of the one-on-one ability, just I guess it's always, again, when is the one-on-one ability never been important? But again, with some of the penalty stuff now as well too, it's just there's an importance with the skilled pass rushers that maybe there's a focus on that more so than ever. But it's for some reason now, of course, this is the one guy as well that he's just not going to end up paying and not going to trade. And a lot of people are comparing this to the Davis trade, of course, because it's a young player that's a franchise type guy getting traded back for a couple of picks and a superstar. But, and, we were not necessarily defending the Davis trade, but the Davis dialogue a little bit as a player. And I like Kenny Clark. Like, we can't necessarily disrespect Kenny Clark. Like, he is a really good run stopper as well. And the Jerry Jones quotes of, we need to stop the run are just crazy comical and, just hilarious, trying to twist the narratives in his favor type stuff. But like we're saying, just the value of having Parsons around at that age, he would be one of the guys all time that you would just assume that you would want to bring back and not give up. But for some reason, this is the guy that he's definitely decided to pull the plug on. And again, the Kenny Clark aspect is fun, but if you're looking at what Davis, I guess, in some ways, but if you're looking at what Davis can at least provide from a couple year standpoint, because at the end of the day, in just normal basketball timelines, the Doncic amount of years in theory that you get with that potential dramatic difference is a definite reason why that trade is a little bit tough from the Magic standpoint. Of course, now they rectified as well too with getting Cooper Flagg in the lottery, but that's another reason why the NFL trade is not as good as the NBA trade, because at least the NBA does have a lottery, so you could trade for a pick that at least has a chance to be a number one pick, or again, your own pick at least has a chance to be a number one pick. You don't necessarily have to be the worst team in the league or rely on another team to be, the number one worst team in the league and get that pick. So you're just odds, I guess, of getting a franchise player or one of those blue chip type guys can, just, I guess, become a little bit more difficult at that point. It's impossible, obviously not, but it is a little bit, perceived difficulty of that with potentially higher picks is definitely there. And what Davis provides from a basketball standpoint is just much different than what Kenny Clark provides from a football standpoint, even if they're similar on the timelines. I mean, it's not even, we could go through the checklist, but just kind of simply as well too. Like, Davis is just, multiple levels above as a basketball player what Kenny Clark is as a football player. I mean, again, shout out to Kenny Clark. Like, he's had definite moments. I mean, we could definitely go to his career. He may have been a first team All-Pro at one point. I mean, I wouldn't not bet on it. He's definitely been second team All-Pro at some point in his career as well too. So again, he's hovering in that mix. He's one of the better just defensive, athletic, sort of defensive run stopper guys that you can throw out there. And he is, I think, I don't know what the advanced stats say, but eye test wise, he can make game changing plays in the pass rush. So again, it definitely provides that impact as well too. But you think about what a star player can provide from an NBA standpoint, and Davis can still give you points in the end of a game, which at the end of the day is going to be the main thing that you want. He can generate points his own one-on-one. His playmaking is a little bit underrated and has never necessarily been relied on in a major way. Probably, you wouldn't want him to be your main playmaker, but he does have the vision and the ability to set up other guys as well too. And he does play defense, which was something that Doncic did not do. So again, Doncic definitely had a different checklist of things that would probably lend yourself to want to have him more as a player at this point in his career. But the ability for Davis to make up for what a number one player can do in a roster in an NBA standpoint over the next couple of years is definitely different than what a defensive tackle can do for one defense, because like we're seeing it with Micah Parsons. And again, what translating it to wins and some of that stuff, you can still have a good NBA player on a bad team. We've seen that, but that team can still be competitive, feisty. We can see moments where that team is really good when that player is on the field and then bad when that player. So, like Parsons could be like on a great defense with a bad offense. That'd be maybe a better version of it as well. Sort of the plus the Nikola Jokic plus minus sort of effect. But Parsons was on a bad defense with Parsons on the defense. So you're getting a worse player when an individual that was a better player was not able to elevate that. So maybe, do we have a Parsons conversation about his upside? I think as a game-wrecking pass rusher who, again, can make those type of game-winning plays in the end of a playoff game, I don't know, what arguments you can make against him to knock him down the list outside of like the top 5. Hey, it's like, okay, well, I'm still getting a top 5. What are we arguing here? I'm not getting the best pass rusher in the league. Oh, boo-hoo. I just, use Kenny Clark to upgrade to the 5th best pass rusher in the league. 2 first-round picks. Like, that's still a winning power-up at the end of the day that you're going to take. But the impact of Davis is just so much different than the impact of a defensive lineman compared to, and I get like trying to explain it in NBA terms as well too. And again, the city of Dallas, the fact that they've had this thing where they've traded both of their young athletes for these kind of older stars in a way, and these different kind of you don't even want to say franchise resets, because again, the stars aren't reset type stars. It's more like these weird franchise pivots in some different type of stuff. But it's statistically, for what it's going to mean for the Cowboys defense this year, it's not going to be what it meant for, because in some ways, again, Dallas, it's like, okay, they're still winning some of the same games that Luka would have, when Davis is out there, that maybe Luka's out there. And, ultimately another thing with Davis versus Luka is just Davis wasn't healthy last year as well too, unfortunately, not able to be out there for a lot of the games. And Luka has at least been able to stay a little bit healthy. Well, we could compare the numbers. Probably Davis has played more games over the last 4 years or something weird like that. But, just the per game, I guess, career average, it does seem like Doncic at this point is a little bit higher. So again, I still, and obviously winning the lottery is ultimately going to be probably more so impactful than what they got back in the Doncic trade, because that was their own pick as well too. So again, they could have had that in theory if Doncic is on the team. And, if non-motivated Doncic, pudgy Dallas Doncic is going to be still on that team, I guess, then maybe they're still in the lottery. But, does the league rig it for them winning Cooper Flag at that point? That becomes the question, I guess. But the odds of them actually acquiring Cooper Flag, I guess, it's still going to be a thing that is going to be the most franchise impactful thing of this timeline, the post Doncic trade, I guess. But again, the Davis trade alone, if they were just getting Davis, they still could have been a kind of decent competitive team. And again, they're not a better team, obviously, but their maybe floor is not as, whereas again, I just think Davis is more impactful, unfortunately, than Kenny Clark. And their offense can still be good, but at least for this season, if they hit on those 2 picks and wherever they turn out to be, then it is what it is. I guess it's a win at the end of the day. Herschel Walker trade, mini version, whatever. But the at least this year impact of it is not going to be tough. And having Dak at this point as well too, like, he is kind of a win now quarterback. Obviously he is hopefully perceived one of the better quarterbacks in the league. At least there's a regular season consistency with him year to year. But it's not like he would have, a decade. You got a decade left to try to put a roster around Dak at this point as well too. So maybe he is another, if the Dallas thing in the Jerry thing does start to lose a little bit of its luster and the season maybe starts to go a little bit weird, then a little bit weird, it's already going weird, of course, but if the on the field stuff goes a little bit weird, then maybe we do see the other Dallas guys start to follow suit as well too, because Parsons did have to get paid by the Packers, but Dak has gotten paid, and maybe he's got some contract stuff coming up as well too. I know CeeDee Lamb just got paid a couple years ago as well. We have to go double check like which of their offensive linemen they've paid. I know they have made like 75-80% type max deals with some. I feel like some of the other, like, do they have like a tackle on kind of a decent deal or something like that? But maybe Dak is a trade guy. I don't know who would be. Dak to the Colts. Maybe the Colts are, because we're gonna be. It's just the vibe, but I don't know if it's a Ballard thing or an Irsay thing, because Irsay did want the, rest in peace, of course, to the previous owner, but he did want the younger guy, and I think that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out for, of course, our narrative this year as well too, because in theory, with the way the season might go, that might be a team that might be our team might be a team that starts making some moves in some of the front office stuff, but also, again, again, rest in peace, Mr. Irsay, but he unfortunately passed away this past year. So, or was it last year? I think it was either this year or this past season. But it's been maybe one season. If Irsay, this might even be the first year without him as the owner there. So, do they want to start making major switch ups when it does seem like, again, Ballard has some consistency with running that team, even if it's not like building Super Bowl contenders every year? There is a perceived goodness and in a way that he has. And Irsay, I think, did push for that pick, so he can kind of say that, hey, that wasn't I think we were going to go a different direction there, maybe Jalen Carter, and then we were supposed to we both take Richardson and just did the thing. But maybe Ballard wants the veteran guy as well too, and Dak could be one of those veteran guys that maybe is on the market in a little bit. The receiver thing is always weird, the trade value, because the contract stuff, teams get scared of that, and then also they do kind of know how it can play out, where like we've seen it a little bit now as well too, and maybe CeeDee Lamb's not in the get bought out territory. Maybe he would get the peak of his powers, get traded for. Like I guess we did see Tyreek Hill get traded for, Adams get traded for, so somebody would definitely trade for CeeDee Lamb for sure. But, and funny enough, they would probably end up getting like 2 first-round picks for CeeDee Lamb as well too, and then it's like, and then maybe a couple first-round picks for Dak. It's like maybe they end up with enough first-round picks, but just a combination of a couple of mini overpays and a big underpay with Micah Parsons, and all of the moves combined like kind of work out. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I guess, unfortunately for the Cowboys fans, he did go get traded. Fortunately for the rest of the league, at least he didn't go to, and we were talking about this with Garrett on one of the previous live streams, but at least he didn't go to one of just like the bummer options. Obviously, the Eagles option was a little less likely just because of the pettiness between those two teams. But I guess maybe Jerry trading with the Chiefs, there is something about that would have seemed a little off if he would have made that type of move, or again, just to maybe a team that is not going to be that competitive team. But it is almost the perfect situation. I think Atlanta still remains kind of our fun. They need a defensive star, and would be fun if they made a move. But Green Bay does have a couple. Well, I guess Atlanta with Bates and Terrell, again, like we were talking about on the last live stream, has a couple of guys as well. But you got Bates versus McKinney. Like maybe McKinney last year played like Bates' peak versus McKinney's peak. Ayo, pause. Whoa, is definitely a good conversation. I think maybe McKinney is a little bit better, but maybe Bates has had more better seasons. But then you do also have Gary as well too, so at least he has a running mate on that defensive line across the way to help with the pressure. And there is maybe a couple more pieces to, again, elevate the rest of the defense around him so he's not in another Cowboy situation. But I think he would help elevate the Atlanta defense as well too, or any type of great pass rusher could help elevate that secondary and make him even play better than some of the name value perception of it a little bit. But this is the perfect, again, it's a good team legacy-wise for him to go to, a good franchise, good historic team, good branding with just the the basic casual fan type stuff. He can still be a high level star, and they can still just are naturally, if they're good, are probably going to be in a lot of primetime situations, but again are a young team where this is also a good situation for him for the next couple of years to actually be like, this is almost, it was one of those situations where, again, in the NBA, it's like, okay, the player requested trade, it's not going well. Like Dame, again, this is almost what we saw with Dame in Milwaukee, or in Portland, and then he ended up in Milwaukee. So that was a little bit more, they requested the trade, he was trying to demand where he wanted to go, and they just said, hey, no, we're going to trade wherever. But I guess they kind of did hold off on the trade as well too. And it wasn't necessarily, I guess he straight up requested, and there wasn't necessarily a contract debate, because I think they did give him like a little 2-year thing as well. Did he get that from Portland and then, or from Milwaukee? I guess that, the Dame timeline is a little foggy, I guess. But again, that is a little bit similar, and I guess in terms of a player, maybe not necessarily. He did have a specific destination though, in a way, but I don't know if Miami didn't want him as well too. But I guess again, regardless, at the end of the day, he didn't want to go. He ended up in a team that maybe he didn't want to go to, and for Parsons, this is almost again about the most ideal team that you'd want to go to. Another great young quarterback, other great supporting cast pieces, and maybe more importantly, other besides the quarterback potential that Jordan Love shows to continue to have, is LaFleur has again continued to prove himself one of the most consistent coaches in the regular season over the last couple of years. Oh, in chat we got a Georgia Tech player down right now with injury. Oh, is it a cramp? Okay, I think he's cramping. So unfortunately, hopefully he's okay, but I think he'll be able to fight through if that's what we're talking about here. But yeah, I mean, in the Cowboys, I guess, speaking of Packers coaches, he was with McCarthy basically. Has he had McCarthy the entire time? No, it's Garrett. Was probably there a couple years as well too, but not necessarily a murder's row of coaches. Coaches that maybe have a little bit better regular season resumes than we would necessarily assign to them, but still, it does seem like LaFleur has had a few more outperformances with some of his rosters than, and we look at some of those Rodgers rosters and go, okay, not making the Super Bowl is an underperformance in a way as well. But it does, again, there's maybe a little bit of a higher level that his teams have achieved in a week-to-week consistency standpoint than what some of the Cowboys coaches have had with Parsons. So he is the leader right now for Defensive Player of the Year. I think just the way the narratives have, and the way his star power has been shown as well too, the amount of conversation that's been around. Again, is that a Cowboys thing? Is that just Parsons as a star himself? Maybe a little bit of both. Because you get the Penn State, he was a star. He was probably one of the 4 or 5 most highlight players in the draft. Like, again, you had Chase in that draft. I'm trying to remember, that was the Pitts draft as well too. So shout out. You got some, maybe the draft order wasn't necessarily totally correct there, but just in terms again of like star level college players, he would have been one of the star players in that draft class, even if he did fall a little bit as well. But you do see him again kind of dominating the narratives and dominating the conversation enough to where if he has a really great season, I think he's definitely in line to win that award. But it also hasn't helped that the defense has been bad over the last couple of years, and I think Garrett has kind of had that problem in Cleveland a little bit, where, and the defenses did get good there for a second. He wasn't necessarily winning Defensive Player of the Years, but his teams weren't all that great, and it was like, okay, we understand that he's really great, but can we give like the Defensive Player of the Year, where's this guy in this 5-win team? And I guess there was just other options as well too. You got Donald and Watt, and just again, other great players to potentially, and unfortunately for Garrett, in other great situations that were able to claim that award and had to kind of stick around. Khalil Mack was another one. Didn't quite have everything line up from team success, individual success for a second there, and then a couple of seasons foddered out, was able to finally win an award. And this, if he was in Dallas, it almost feels like he would have had to do that a little bit, where he would have gotten just second place so many times that it's like a decade in. It's like, wait a second, Michael Parsons doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year. Like, let's get this guy a Defensive Player of the Year trophy at some point. But now, again, trades happened. He's on a new team. There's another stud in McKinney who's been a first-team All-Pro, another All-Pro, Pro Bowler type guy, and Gary there to help bulk up the rest of the defense. And if the defense is a top half of the league type defense, and he is a closer type guy and, top 5 in the league in sacks, then I think, yeah, definitely the narratives are there for him to be. He's definitely the narrative king at this point for Defensive Player of the Year. And I think, especially for that one, the preseason stuff does matter. Like, you don't necessarily have to have, again, the best. If somebody just has historically, or just historically, but if somebody's just obviously the Defensive Player of the Year winner, then, the conversation will definitely work itself out that way. I feel like for most, again, sort of quote unquote obvious seasons, it does kind of happen. But if it does become a debate conversation type thing, then some of the preseason narratives do help what you had. Or you get a guy, again, like Trey Hendrickson, who leads the league with maybe 17 sacks and, great season, but not quite a historic season for a guy that's a little underrated. And if Parsons has like 15 and a half sacks, 14 and a half sacks, but the defense is way better than, whatever the Trey Hendrickson equivalent is, or it's Trey Hendrickson again, then again, from the narrative stuff that we're seeing from the preseason, you can see it all kind of lining up to win. Or it would have to be, again, like Minnesota's defense is really great, or the Houston defense is awesome and Will Anderson has the same amount of sacks, but you have to reward somebody from a specific unit as well too. So unless we get a historic unit or historic individual performance, of course, then Parsons would be the narrative leader in the clubhouse for Defensive Player of the Year at this point. And, just again, it's not undeservedly so, because he is one of the best defensive players in the league. But we've got 2 minutes left here with a 20-20 ball game. So Salter is going to be put on the line early for seeing his clutchness and tested for his ability to make a drive. We got 3rd and 2 and their ability to make a stop. The fake pitch, chat. The run game is just a little too easy for Georgia Tech at this point. Maybe them chewing up clock and getting into field goal position is unfortunately just going to be something that is a little inevitable. They've crossed half field at this point as well. Hayes King on the ground. I mean, again, it is college, so, you got to get to like the 15-yard line for you to be in field goal range. 13 for 20, 18 rushes for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I was still we were still kind of getting settled into the hotel room when this game was firing up. So I didn't see necessarily the play calling from the first couple of drives, but I think he was a little more pass focused. And I don't remember exactly if he was there last year as well too. But I think he's a little bit of a more talented guy that was returning. Again, Georgia Tech as a team was not necessarily a ranked team or a super hyped team, looking at it here, but I think Hayes King had a little bit of name value going into the year. So maybe they thought, we'll rely on his passing a little bit, see what kind of happened, but back to the ground, chat. Ayo, the running continues, and oh man, he crosses the field goal range line. Oh, he's going to score, chat. Is he going to go down on the 1? No. Is there a penalty on the play? Ayo. So the game was tied there. You're kind of guaranteed overtime if nothing happens. Do you almost do the, go down on the 1-yard line? I feel like maybe with the way Colorado's offense has not necessarily been a lock to be dynamic, you just kind of take your chances to get a stop on the next play. But there is a 1:07 left, so you could, again, run it from the 1-yard line and try. You could do the 4 stops, but you don't need to take the lead. Like, you're already tied. You're not going to necessarily lose in regulation unless, I guess, they get the ball back and you have a miracle play from the 1-yard line. So we're not overly critical. We're just theorizing. Just taking notes, chat. This is how you learn it. We don't play Madden now, but what if we do? What if we get in this scenario when we're playing Madden? What would Brent Key tell his players to do? I guess just score and take the points if you have the points. But on 3rd, was that 3rd and short, 4th and short? I forget even the goal scenario there, because Hayes King just from about midfield takes off, easy going, pretty much untouched, chat. Hey, so I don't remember. Oh, excuse me, chat. I guess all the walking, but I guess the Colorado defensive front is not looking like it's made a crazy transformation over the past couple years. It's been a little bit leaner, and that's kind of been a thing that has hurt them defensively in stopping that run game, is the offensive lines have just been able to push him around a little bit. But that gets him to 19 carries for 156 yards and 3 touchdowns. Hayes King is going to be like a week 1 top performer now. And, his stat line is worthy of it, just looking at it on paper. 28 points in total, I guess 27 points in total. It's definitely a worthy performance. But I don't know, against the Colorado defense, which again is athletic. It's definitely able to fly around and make some plays in the secondary. But, maybe if he didn't have the defensive front, they don't have like the linebacker or sort of the box safety type as well too. Travis Hunter was an awesome corner, but he is a little bit more of a traditional corner. Like he's actually, like with his credit as well too, one-on-one type, a little bit of outside guy. So he's not again a safety like a Kyle Hamilton, but even that type of safety where, or I guess he's not even a safety, but definitely not like a Kyle Hamilton, in the box. Hey, pause. Like Travis Hunter, what type of safety? He is definitely not playing near into the front seven, trying to stop the run. Maybe a little bit, more powerful as a tackler and that type of stuff. So immediately on first down, chat, Colorado just swings it out to the sideline. Was that just to the running back, and then just gets dropped for a 3-yard loss? The clock is running down. A negative play. You only have 2 timeouts left, so you're not going to call a timeout, I guess. 45 seconds. Salters, do they not trust him to throw down the field? Hey, yo, you get back to the 35-yard line. 35 seconds left. The clock is still running. So if they take a timeout now, what did you do with the last? They're just going to keep it going, chat. 28 seconds left. You got to hit this strike here. Salters, just run. Just run. Get to the outside. He's going to get to the sideline and at least save a timeout, but there's 18 seconds left. So that is kind of nice to save the timeout in this standpoint, but you really only now have those 2 plays with those timeouts as well. Because make no mistake, with the way that they're running these routes, that throw to the sideline is not going to get you any yards. It's going to be a 2-yard throw. It's not going to set you up for anything closer in field goal range. So you basically got 2 whatever kind of easy down the field strikes you can set up for Salter, or just kind of tell you ready to go deep, and then hopefully he just runs at this point, because there is a 3-man front. So think about running. Oh, chat, they go Hail Mary with 18 seconds. He's got a guy. Oh, chat, we're going to be in the hole. We're going to get kicked out before we even go to sleep, chat. Hey, yo, he had a guy. He was like quadruple team, but he had a step. He was running across the field. Would Shador have connected on that throw, chat? Shador would have got him. I got to be honest. I think Shador would have hit him. I know that, we can't just necessarily be like, everything through the prism of Shador, but we're going to see him again, like we're saying, for the Browns this year. He dropped from an NFL evaluator standpoint. The media and just everybody's, I feel like, well, not everybody, but, there's been a turn to his talent, where he is a guy that can be a starting level quarterback in the league. And I get you're going to want a franchise guy with every pick, but even where you got him in the draft as well too, if he is it's like, okay, if he's a guy now that is even an 8-win quarterback, there is a degree of value that you really got there in the 5th round. So maybe that was the whole point. I don't know. But again, I really think that pick is going to be, is this our Skip Bayless, Johnny Manziel moment? One of the great picks in the history of the Cleveland Brown franchise. Salter. Oh, chat. Almost another dramatic finish. Who's number 6 for Colorado? Miller? Oh, wasn't he making? I think he might have been making plays for him last year. So he got into a position, to make a couple of plays there. At the end, again, got a step. Salters missed him on the overthrow. And then Salters wasn't really near anybody there on that last throw, right off the defensive back's hands. And Miller almost made the catch. Should he have made that catch? Oh, no, he went to go play defense. He went to go break up the play. So I don't know why you really need to go break up the play, because it's the last play of the game. There was 3 seconds left. A turnover just is the end of the game. It's not like you need to stop. You need to stop them from getting a turnover in the middle of the game, because you don't want them to get the ball back. Obviously, them getting the ball back means nothing more than just you don't score. And obviously that's not good. But you need to, I guess the point being, you should play for the catch there. Don't play for the defense. Just keep playing for the catch, even if it's a little less realistic. But regardless, great effort by Miller on those last couple of plays. Anyways, and Salters, room for improvement. Its physical abilities are there, and I hope that this Colorado system is a good system for him, but I just don't know, Chad. We'll have to see how it continues to go up against other great defenses as well, too. But, yeah, Chad, even though we're in the Bay, we're still going to listen to one of our favorite New York artists tonight. He's out with a new album.
Shout out our guy Joey. Lonely at the Top. Is it an album? Is it a mixtape? I don't know what it's technically labeled as, but regardless, it's new music on Spotify for us to listen to, and we are excited. So, we didn't bring the speaker to Cali with us to do a listen along, unfortunately, but we still got it fired up for you here as well. So when we return from break chat, we are going to react to Joey's newest album, Lonely at the Top. Listen along to that and see what our guy we're be excited to listen to this project. For us, we should say the first time as well too. You'd think walking around the Bay we'd just be listening to this project on repeat, but I guess that'll be for the trip back. Hey yo, chat, it is what it is. We're saving the live reactions for after the break. Chat, Lonely at the Top by our guy Joey, up next.
All right, chat, we are back, and I was looking at Colorado's schedule real quickly here. Let me pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it here as well. Yeah, here we go. Because they were officially showing the 1-0 or the 0-1. Ayo, 1-0. Shout out to Georgia Tech. But they were showing the 0-1 officially next to their team name on the Sports Center, and I was looking at it like, oh, that's obviously not how you want to start. But say once they get into conference play, once it starts getting like real tough, maybe they does this become another little step back season for Dion, unfortunately. But again, with conference realignment, there is fortunately nobody left in the what Big 12 is that where they're at? Big 12 now? Yeah, it's second in the Big 12 before this because their school is alphabetically up there. But Delaware next. So hopefully that's 1-1. I guess we'll see. Chat upset number 2. I guess, we're saying major upset Tarleton State, not just the Georgia Tech win, but because who knows, Georgia Tech might have been favored at this one as well, too. I don't know what the odds said, but Houston, they got that high-level recruit next year. I don't know who they got as their quarterback this year. Wyoming, BYU, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, Arizona, West Virginia, then Arizona State, Kansas State, preseason ranked teams to end the season. And Iowa State is preseason ranked as well. But again, most of the teams are not necessarily there if you're not in the Big Ten or the SEC, I guess, at this point. So, some of these teams will be ranked, it'll switch around and it'll be different, but it'll probably still end up being like 3 ranked teams in some different order of it. So this is still a manageable schedule, and maybe a running quarterback like that, we'd look through the list and see who can which of these teams can kill him on the ground kind of like that. But there is a chance that is a struggle. And I did write down on the stationery here, chat, bet Colorado defense rush overs this season. I don't know if that's something we should have done last year or the last couple of years, again, with the way their defense is played. Maybe just all the defensive overs. But we need to actually see them with a quarterback. So I guess, maybe, again, the downfield just passing element isn't going to be something that they're going to be facing a lot this year as well, too. I don't know the starter for all these teams. But there was a feistiness there that maybe game to game they are able to compete. We'd have to see that against some higher, more consistent passing talent. But rushing wise, I think there's definitely going to be some opportunity to make some money there. So we shall see what the odds look like for the next game that they play. Maybe not Delaware, but at Houston, or maybe this Wyoming game is kind of a sneaky game as well too. BYU, things start to become a little bit of a interesting pick. Or again, if that Delaware game is even close in a way, then maybe that really sheds light on the difficulty of this game as well too. Again, them maybe losing it. But we've got to listen to this album, Chad. I'm excited. Again, it's really been difficult to hold off the first time listen until right now, but we were able to make it through the day without having to fire up. And we were also, again, because of the hotel checkout times. And the nice thing, I don't know if this is every hotel in a big city. I guess we should say as well too, this is a lot of first jet. Hey, the first time we've solo tripped, first time we've ever taken a little solo, I guess, road trip in a way, but just solo travel in general, because we have, of course, I guess we've always at least taken a trip. I guess obviously at least one other person, but it is. And there are times where, I guess it depends on whoever you're traveling with. There are some times where the person you're traveling with, just it's easy enough. It feels like, again, just kind of like everything is working smooth, and it's like, yeah, this is just it's as simple in a way as if it is one person. But obviously, actually committing to a solo trip for the first time is definitely something that we'll be doing more often as well. But and especially where we're at in the Midwest, we get a couple of car repairs done. And, we'd be able to take off for a couple of days into a good variety of the Midwestern cities. Some of the, of course, the bigger Midwestern cities, shout out. But, this was definitely something we were anticipating, of course, anyways, not even just the fact that we had the travel to get to listen to this. And it's always, a bit, Joey, he takes his time into his albums. But, of course, Lonely at the Top, obviously the way he set this one up, is really, really great. And he did say that this was, I guess I did hear him a little bit on Nightcap talking about it as well. So I think he did say that this is a little bit newer and, kind of speaking from that mindset that he was talking about as well, too, earlier in the year, where, a lot of people, when he was battling and calling people out and people were talking about who he should have been going up against, and ultimately, he kind of did battle a lot of the people that people were saying he should initially. There was, again, we saw there was some sparring with him and Absol, him and Daylight, him and, Rayvon got into it as well, too. But ultimately, the conversation was basically whether or not, I guess, he was, if like this was UFC, if he was high enough on the rankings at this point to fight, if it was like a sparring with Kendrick Lamar at some point, if that's it. I guess now it's, again, the battling has always kind of been a thing that has happened, but there was just kind of a natural, like, okay, these guys are actually beefing, and now they're actually just talking about it in their lyrics versus more so, again, like a UFC thing where these guys are going to be like dropping songs competitively against each other in that type of way, because that's what it did end up becoming almost. Again, it started a little bit rap battle ish, but it became a, I guess, I was using the term sparring earlier, but it really was, again, I think that was more sparring versus, Kendrick and Drake was more like a real match. So it would be, I think, unless there was some real stuff that we don't know about that happened business wise or something, some real reason why they actually was some like real feelings. Because again, Drake and Kendrick actually, like, there's some real dislike feelings that can be translated in the music. Otherwise, it just becomes, a battle of who's got the rhymes. And I think, Kendrick does have a little bit of the Hulk, the Mark Ruffalo, ayo, the Hulk, in the mix there, where he's got a little bit of the always angry, I think, where he could kind of get into that darker mindset maybe a little bit, just, quote unquote randomly, than maybe a guy like Joey, even if Joey could go toe to toe with him from a pen standpoint. But I guess the point being, I think he could go toe to toe with him from a pen standpoint. And I think if we were doing it from like a UFC hip hop rankings sort of standpoint, I mean, the list would ultimately get long if we were doing sort of a individual, one guy for one spot. But again, there's not necessarily weight classes in the same type of way. I guess you could say the weight classes would just be the tiers in the rankings themselves. But again, there can be, multiple champions in a way in the UFC. So maybe maybe the weight classes are like the different genres of music. But I think there could be, essentially, to complete the metaphor, there could be more contenders at a given time for the top spot as well too. Not necessarily just like the one or the two or the, just the top three or whoever, hasn't lost recently from those guys. And I think, obviously looking at the discography here of the albums, he has one of the most consistent discographies, one of the best discographies that is currently going. He has enough of a discography, I think, to be an established guy. And 1999 is a classic project as well, too. I think it's legitimately one of the best hip-hop projects that we've gotten, obviously last, 2015 would be last 10 years, but, last 15 years at this point, going back to 2012. That even puts in, of course, going back to the Good Kid, Mad City, since then run, basically only takes that, Section 80, Overly Dedicated as well too, even though I don't think that would be in the conversation for the best of, even though there's some quality on that project for Kendrick. But even, Kendrick's discography may be a little higher level project to project, but 1999 is just as good. I think the legacy of that in the hip hop standing of that project is, it's obviously not as good as, I'm not saying it's as good as Good Kid, Mad City. There's, a little bit of a extra percentage that some of those albums get to. But again, I think he's in that classic tier where if you're dropping one of those classic projects, I think you can kind of, and has proved yourself, again, the MC the way that he has, I think he is totally worthy. Again, Kendrick is obviously the top guy again, but I guess point being, I think he's worthy to have any opponent at this point to have any opponent in that field that he wants to have. And that is a way of him being at the top. I think he would need to, again, I think maybe there's like a commercial part of it, a hit song part of it, or he does actually go bar to bar with it from a bar. Like there is one more piece I think he would need to actually solidify himself as one of the top guys currently right now, more so. And, again, he is still like right there in a way.
but I think he is at least, like I'm saying, right on the outside looking in of being one of those top guys. And I don't know necessarily. I guess this is not necessarily all the legacy stuff the way it is in sports, the same type of way. Do we get U.S. Open? I think the U.S. Open is off now as well too. Is sports over for the night? Hey yo, chat. That's the like this the like we're saying the thing about the West Coast and adjusting to the sports schedule is of course we're fortunately able to get sports live watch along, but little different time stamps, I guess, in the games. Okay, we do have a Townsend versus Andreeva match. Oh, chat, Townsend, USA, unranked, winning versus Andreeva, who is ranked number 5. What round are we in? 3rd round? Okay. She's making a run in the tournament. I don't know if what kind of ranked opponent she's taken down at this point, but this is quite the run of 4-2 in this match. She won the first, set of whatever, 7-5, but she is up in this. Well, I'm saying set tennis people. If I'm wrong, if it's a game, sorry, but she's winning this set of games, game of sets, 4-2 right now. So a 2-point lead is starting to get a little comfortable as well. So has a chance to break serve and really take a devastating lead here. So we'll keep an eye on that. This is exciting. I don't know, chat. We might have to go away from from the Ice Bucket mic stand. It had a good run on the REMINGTOM pod, but I don't know if it's going to continue. Who knows? It may not be over. It may be back. Maybe a little post-credit cameo as well. But maybe we just chill and listen to the album now as well. We don't necessarily need to research as well. So just in case, we have to dig into these Micah Parsons stats, but IT did say that they looked at all the stats before, and they did say that Micah Parsons is really good, so we didn't have to do any of that research. But let's dig into this album. I guess, chat, we have to do right back, because my Ice Bucket mic stand, we mistimed that, the exit, I guess. It's a new setup, chat, I guess, a temporary setup for the travel situation, so the choreography is not totally locked in. But we have to do an earbud switch because, again, we do not have the speaker like we normally do. I guess, shout out to the home studio. Most of our other album reactions on the channel, I think there's a playlist, so most of the other ones are in the old studio, the current studio. I guess not the old studio, the home studio is a better way to say it. So if you want to see the speaker setup, I guess you can't see the speaker setup, but you would see us listening. If you want to see us listening to the speaker setup, it's really just a little portable Bose speaker. But I guess point being, that would be how we typically do the live reactions. So we're gonna really get a good first listen, because that can actually be a little iffy sometimes with the other set of I guess really behind the scenes here, with the other set of earbuds can sometimes be a little hard to hear, but we are going to be locked in this time. I mean, our guy Joey, this might just have to be the way to pivot the setup going forward. 11 songs, 39 minutes. Okay, so the curation is in its peak form. I think that is interesting to look at, because he has gravitated a little bit toward an hour in the last couple of projects. 49 minutes for All American, and I think 2000 was near. Again, he's always been a master curator, but we have seen the albums, I think, even get a little bit shorter in the runtime as well too. You go back, like I'm saying, 2012, you go back to Kendrick's, a lot of his discography T-Pap is a little bit over an hour, but he's got and I guess Good Kid, Mad City does end up running over an hour as well too, but you do have a 12-minute track on there. Like I said, it is 2 songs as well, so it is, he does push an hour on a lot of his running, but obviously GNX was like a 40-minute-ish runtime as well too. So, chat, I just fired up the other album and it's gonna mess up. I don't even know if I just yelled or not. Hey yo, I just couldn't even hear for a second. So apologies to the person. If there's like somebody sleeping like right on the other side of this wall, and they're just like, okay, you're just listening to this whole show. Hey yo, chat, then my apologies. But I guess I can't hear if they're having a conversation, so it is what it is. Unless they're just locked in. Maybe they're locked in. Who knows? We're not giving ourselves credit. But okay, so we know the earbud setup does work super well. And I guess I got distracted when I was saying, oh yeah, GNX shorter runtime as well. So I don't know if that was sort of another trend-setting type of thing that happened a little bit in that album. Is Kendrick sort of setting the best runtime or tracking and kind of sealing whatever that current runtime of an album should be. But it does, and Tyler this year as well too. I think here let's double check the JID runtime, because now with some of the deluxe stuff, that is definitely up there. But okay, that was 57 for sure. But it's obviously just such a great listen that it doesn't seem like it's an hour. But the Clips album I do think was about an hour. Oh, that was about 40 minutes as well too. So yeah, Clips, Tyler, Larry June, and the Alchemist, and Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist, and I don't know, Erykah Badu and the Alchemist. Erykah Badu and the Alchemist just dropped an album. So I don't know how long that one is either, but I didn't see that one on either of their Spotify, so we'll have to track that one down at some point. And Sabrina Carpenter's album is only an hour long. Hey yo, we're listening to that one next, or only about 40 minutes long, so we'll listen to that one next, chat. Hey yo, but let's get into this album here. And of course he's not going to have any of the songs that he was dropping earlier in the year, because he did drop that pack of the kind of diss track songs, and there is a couple other ones, and some of the YouTube as well too, kind of scattered around. We do have Dark Aura. I guess he did drop that as a single, but we get that as a lead track. And I didn't listen to that one, chat, as well, because again, I wanted to save that for that. I guess when I saw him drop that single, I was like, okay, that's an album single right there. So we're going to save that one for the live reaction. So we got Solo, Joey starting off the list. We'll see. I'm gonna Joe if we get extra whispery, because I don't know the volume levels in this room. It is what it is. But okay, let's get into this album, chat, and see what we got. You guys can, of course, fire up and listen along. You can see it going. Track 1 is underway. 5 seconds, 6, 7, 8. If you guys are somehow double listening on Spotify, hey yo. So, I mean, he is just probably gonna, from a production standpoint, lean into a style of production that we're just going to gravitate toward. But we're going to see, I guess, how it compares to the rest of his discography as well too, because that would be something, not just the bars, but again, his production is up there with as consistent and great as you can get. So we have to track the lyrics as well too, chat. We have to get the genius in the background, because he's going to be dropping bars. The rhymes are going to be on point. It's going to be something to have to pay attention to. Sabrina Carpenter, read all the lyrics of Sabrina Carpenter's album. Oh, Blood Orange with an album as well too. The Beach, To the Beaches is also being listed on here. No respect for our guy Joey, chat. Hey yo, it is what it is. We still got the article for read the lyrics on Ghostface Killah's album. Not even our guy Joey. Okay, we're gonna have to search for this one here and see what we get. How many tracks are called Dark Aura, chat? Can't be that many. Yeah, here we go. Shout out. So again, his rhymes and his pen game, and you can see his writing and his perspective as well too. Like, that's the fun thing about Joey that has shifted, and that's a little Cole-esque as well with his game. It is in his perspective in writing that he is doing a lot of his shifting. There is, again, Dark Aura. There is a darkness to this production that does seem a little, what was it? Not the fall off, but the off season ish as well. Because there is a sort of a darkness in that album that is a little bit more than some of Cole's other production. But again, his writing in that album as well too is just about as good as any of the writing. Just the consistency in the bars and how he's tried to continue to focus on the skills in that aspect. And Joey as well too, has always continued to do that. And, Cole as well as, up until the point of him dropping the latest project, unfortunately, was rapping from that perspective of, chasing the best, but then being like, hey, I am the best. And obviously I'll prove it against anybody. And then, obviously, unfortunately, what happened with 7 Minute Drill, not just the track itself, but, kind of how it played out with him approaching that track too. But again, with the way he was having that perspective and that run up and through all that stuff, it was just great to see that shift in how he was building that confidence and how his writing was getting better to reflect that confidence as well. But of course, you have to have West Side Gun early on, and it's just if you're building. Oh, chat, is the hotel Wi-Fi starting to struggle? Hey yo, it can't load the Spotify. Chat. Uh-oh, the album is not being listed right now on the hotel Wi-Fi. Hopefully that means the live stream is still powering up. Okay, hey, at the end of the day, it says we are fine on the live stream. So that is the most important thing. But it may take a second try. Oh, okay, here we go. We are back. So you see Dark Aura is already, of course, getting the streams. And I guess the song with Absol and Rhapsody is getting was the other single song released as well too. A little Thriller-ish, chat. Hey yo, you get I guess Thriller is the opposite. Thriller is the only two songs not released as singles were the intro and the outro. This one, the intro and the outro are the singles almost. The second to last is the other single, I guess, in Still. But the production on this is crazy. This does seem like that kind of again, Joy plays in that world for sure, but having West Side Gun on this kind of the bright, soulful production here is really great. Tracking down the samples, of course. If there are a bunch of samples, as you would imagine, attached to this, is going to be fun as always with the Joy project, seeing what we get. Maybe, a classic of something. We get a BK's Finest here, chat. Hey, yo. Speaking of classic, a take two on, of course, Brooklyn's Finest, the classic Biggie Jay-Z song. So, we'll see the bars that are being spit on this one is crazy. We get Rome Streets, CJ Fly. Shout out to Kai Cash, I guess, AO. But some definitely talented lyricists on that song as well, too. So this is a great start to, again, kind of give us that dark intro, but you can see there's going to be a diversity of the sort of tone of the different tracks you can get. And I guess even in a short track list as well, too, just to have this one on it, maybe it stands out in that type of way as well, too, of being in this type of more up, just again, the cheerier side of the production as well. Morgan Stanley, treat me like I'm close family. Just dropped 80 in the market like I'm Kobe. I carried the whole team by my dolly. Is that how he rhymed it, Chet? Of course, I'm just talking over the song. But, and again, I guess for those of you that are like, why can't I hear it? We can't actually play the song on YouTube. The rules. It is what it is. So we got it in our own earbuds, listening to it along. And you can follow along and see where we're at. But what do we diversify my assets? You a one-trick pony? Since I turned 18, I been my own big homie. Sock you in the mouth on camera like Mick Foley. It's Big Joey. Ask around your know me. Did a lot of life. Word to rich homie. Truly humbled under God. We're idiots, chat. We can't speak other languages, but obviously Joey is crazy with the rhyme. I guess if we could just rhyme it with homie, we could maybe figure it out as well too. But obviously we know West Side Gun's kicked in as well too, because he is as distinct as you get. So his vocals kicking in late, not the longest verse by our guy West Side Gun, but still giving us good energy, spitting some good bars as well too. We can go to war, shell for shell. Fly God, they crucified me nail for nail. I came back like it never left. Dior, when I resurrect, me and Slick can go neck for neck. Hey yo, is that a pause? I've been the illest if you think about it. After you drill, we don't speak about it. Chanel moccasins bloody when you beg God for oxygen. I was on your opposite. Givenchy ski mask with the Glock tip. Hey yo, chat. We got to pivot here because this is Superfly. Is this supposed to be Superfly, but is it Superfly? We'll see if he says that in a rhyme here. It's spelled Superfly. Looking at it. Bree Stevens on the feature. This might be some of the most upbeat production and, definitely the most kind of, funky pop production that Joey's gone into as well. Like we said with Jid, we saw him have some of the most diverse collection of beats on that last album. Great entries for his discography. This is a great beat for Joey's discography here. You see, again, the artist kind of playing in this way with these different albums as well too. I don't know, everybody's releasing in August. Like, who's the mastermind behind all this stuff, setting the release dates, setting the tone, chat? I guess we got to check out who's producing. Who's the Mike Dean right now of 2020 that is just involved? I guess Metro Boomin and The Alchemist are involved in a lot of projects for sure. West Side Gun as a feature, kind of. We don't have producer credits on Spotify for this one yet, but this is a fun track, fun aggressive Joey bars as well too, so it'll be fun to see what the energy of that BK's Finest beat is as well too, knowing that we maybe are not on the table for all sort of old school style production. So we've gotten 3 really good beats, but good way to flow through the different, I guess 3 good beats, 3 very different beats to start the album, but still kind of a natural flow from beat to beat. And the beat switch here, chat, sort of, we got like 2/3 of the way through. We got a little beat switch situation that definitely hit pretty well. Can't Lose put me against Whole Cruise, pulling up from the logo, hit nothing but the bottom of the net. No Joe been a pro, what's a rookie to a vet? If I had to flex, wouldn't even been a stretch. Had to raise the bar, increase my rep. Y'all lightweight, crown on my head, heavier than a skyscrape. Views from the top, higher than crime rate in my state. I mean, again, chat, obviously the rhymes are just, they're doubled up. They're as crisp as they've ever been. Bulletproof and I ain't had the vest on. Tell me who's left, I ain't even used my best arm. Hey, chat. Joey is, I feel like, even just warming up as well too. Double-breasted sweater wear in a new pair of Pradas. Top shot a big dog Rottweiler, 10 toes businessman with the good posture as well. And I guess as well, like we were saying, a lot of this is being written recently as well. I guess I don't know, the beats, I don't know if they're being cooked up recently, if he is maybe seeing these things from these other albums and kind of putting together a collection of songs in this way. But we kind of see him going back to a little more of that kind of boom up, that little more up tempo boom bap type energy. We've got ASAP Ferg and Kel's Too Busy on the feature list. So some of the names I may not be super familiar with. So a good collection. I don't know if these are newer names or if he's putting us on to old talent here. Let's see. Okay, we got singles. No albums yet for Kel's Too Busy. So putting us on to some potentially newer artists or some good features. There's some pro era people here. Let's see what we got for Kai Cash. But that ASAP, that Absol Rhapsody track is going to be crazy. And the Absol stuff, again, that's what we're saying, sparring. Like, it's just like, okay, they're clearly just like, having fun dropping rhymes in that one kind of video they did together in whatever that rap battle situation was. So Kai Cash does have some albums under his belt going back to 2021, 2019, Birth in the Burrow, 2021, 7-Eleven, a deluxe and anniversary, and then Cash Rules this year in 2025. So maybe a go through the Kai Cash discography and see what we got. Our guy, do we give him the follow, chat? Let's give him the follow and go back and listen to some of his projects as well too. But this does, I did say kind of upbeat, like, did I say a little boom bappy at the beginning? It did kind of feel like that, but with the way that the vocals, the melodic kind of vocals are playing over this, and the way the beats kind of leveled out as well too, it is a little bit not like that. ASAP Ferg, chat, here we go on the feature. So Kel's carrying the hooks, the chorus melody parts is good. Joey and ASAP Ferg get to focus on the rhymes. I mean, we have seen again Joey do some of the hook singy stuff in some of the singles. Obviously, his biggest track is kind of that R&B style track, so he can definitely construct and accomplish full songs by himself for sure. But showing his ability to creatively implement a feature as well too, and use his features to the best of their abilities as an album maker is obviously him continuing to perfect his craft. So we got him and Ty Dolla $ign kind of in back-to-back tracks, kind of a more melodic phase, I guess, of the album here. Ready to love. Ayo, chat. We got Joey going back for the R&B as well. And this happens on albums, chat. I don't know. Is this just, we're finding out people expose themselves as always, not listening to the full albums, but the stream numbers are always dropping off in the second half of these albums. I don't know what's going on. This is where the quality is at, chat. This is obviously the cuts, but the B-sides. This is Joey's solo as well, too. He kind of did the features early. Again, we started with that solo single that was released earlier. But it is kind of funny. We go basically 5 tracks before we get a new solo Joey song. So that is a little thick, chat, a little rich. Quite a stretch of features. Again, we have seen that a lot in some albums. We saw that's kind of the Playboi Carti album, is stack the features in a run. And I guess, kind of a lot of albums as well, too. I don't remember all the albums we just listened to recently. Maybe a little Big X The Plug as well, too. Offset maybe kind of had that reverse. A couple of Offset solo tracks and then some features stacked in the middle there. But the Ty Dolla vocals are great to start. The Joey flow is very relaxed over this beat, and he's not doing the, like we said, maybe the R&B kind of sing song stuff. That's what you got Ty Dolla $ign for, chat. And Ty Dolla $ign can give us a verse as well too. So maybe that's, again, the features are showing their power of drawing the interest and keeping people entertained. But if you worked in maybe some of those solo tracks, maybe every other for a track list like this as well. Like, what if you just fully copy GNX, chat? Did we look at how that one's laid out? Because you do have Luther early in the track list mixed in with Man at the Garden. Reincarnated's kind of in the middle of that track list. I don't know if that one's in between, like pause, like Peekaboo and Hey Now, but that's in kind of that area as well too. And even if maybe if Man in the Garden are similar, again, you kind of go Luther there early to get a feature as well, and have that mix later in the album. So at the end of the day, quality throughout is going to be the thing that matters. But if there is a perfect way to lay out the track list, I guess for the specific track list lengths, that could definitely continue to be something that could be investigated as well. So again, we did get West, I guess, in terms of the bars as well, we have had the features had the opportunities to drop bars, but this track is definitely going to be again, it's called BK's Finest, so it should be, but is going to be the biggest extent of that, because again, A$AP Ferg and Westside Gunn definitely a little limited in their verses as well too at the end. So we got a couple of features. I guess again, the amount of runtime for a feature, not that we're short for features, but them continuing to contribute big verses of the song as well too is going to be at a peak right here. So this is kind of a little of that more haunting type of track as well. A little of that dark energy from Dark Aura. So I don't know if this kind of does start us on that second half of the track list as well. I don't know if there's a kind of a specific way that he did have this layout to reflect, again, this project is to reflect some kind of emotional state that he's in. So I don't know if he's, with the A-side, B-side thing here kind of showing that as well. But I guess we'll see if the tone kind of has the same shifts that it did through the first half of the album, or if it stays with this dark energy here. But we got to even check who's going for each verse here, chat. Follow along. I don't know if we want to make this competitive. Again, you get a song like this. Anytime a high-level guy, like a high-level lyricist like Joey is dropping a track with features, like you're always going to want to bring your best as another, lyricist type guy as well too. Word to finest, rest in peace to Clark Kent. Make a nightmare out these street dreams if you got pinched. I got shooters in every hood in Bed-Stuy. I'm super good. Hey, yo. My killers in the floss. Light you in the wood. Crown High stay paid. My brown villain still dropping corpse. You should be afraid. Where we got Rome Streets up first. Chin checkers. Thin cheddar. Got vendetta against betters in cheap leather. Flea and Prada sweaters locked up. She sent a lot of letters. Ooh, chat. Always good to have a ride or die. Shout out. For the love of Rome, she do whatever. Got her locked forever. There we go. Now I'm making brick wop from my acapellas. Ooh, chat. I kind of like the way this rhyme scream's working out. Contender for, again, getting competitive. Best verse of the album early on. As well, too, I guess, early on for this verse. Fly arrogant had to trap infragant 1,000 for an ounce. The Rolex dial Arabic. From the Dope Boys to Star Wars. Whoa, I know the people in the other rooms just heard that. Just first yell out Star Wars. I thought I did trick magic. Again, we're just reading lyrics here. Rem reads lyrics. Ayo. A Percocet and Ghostwriter to match the copy, good kids that caught bodies and dope fiends that'll smoke you like Chris Moltisanti, chat. Hey, yo. This, The Sopranos. And so now we're exposing our knowledge for never watching TV shows. So, if we're going to watch TV shows, obviously The Sopranos should be a place to start. I feel like Sam probably did. Yeah, he does like Breaking Bad, but he has obviously talked about watching the other prestige shows. But again, for some reason maybe when we catch up, we'll see, what the other prestige shows that he's gotten into recently have been as well too. But for some reason those just haven't crossed over for our rotations in the same type of way. But this is the CJ Flyverse, and it's sounding pretty great as well too, chat. And I mean, shout out to Kai Cash on his verse as well too. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw his name, I was like, wait a second, Kai Cenat is on this album. What are we doing, Joey? Kai Cenat better be doing like interludes or something. But nope, Kai Cash stepped up to the East New York, the villain. All Flatbush to the floors, Bed-Stuy boy at heart. Fought green, show me love, feeling the old mix. Mobbing through Atlantic Mall, Lord. I order personal Moet to sip slow and check the Santos. Time wait for no man. I serenade the money romance fondle with both hands. Hustle like a corner boy. Something corduroy. These diamonds getting gored air on me. Chat. Rem can't rap. This is another segment of Rem can't rap. Rem can't whisper and rap. Ooh, chat. Joey's the solo tracks. I don't know if we're just gonna gravitate toward that because again, Joey's just our guy. So him kind of in his bag is gonna be the thing that we're most excited about. But the smoothness of this beat is definitely got us very excited as well too. The track is called Underwater. Ooh, speaking of Joey doing the sing-songy thing, chat, here we go. Is this singing Joey or is this a unlisted feature? Hey, yo, the vocals on this are as unique of vocals as that he has had in his career. Yeah, chat, we got Joey performing this whole track. Hey, yo, shout out, setting himself up for a great verse. So we go basically chorus, then verse, bridge chorus. So this is kind of that, again, obviously just that lyricist, but that Cole-esque kind of track. I'm just going to get on, just drop a verse. Hey, yo, maybe there's going to be a bridge type track in there as well too. But you know, again, chat, these are kind of the cuts that we love as well too. Hey, yo, now it's referencing Jack Harlow, but he does have that one track that is the one track that we do bump off that album where he's got the verse where he's like, and I don't even remember what the album title is called. Again, I literally just listened to this track and I don't even know what the track is called because I know what it looks, the album cover looks like in our playlist. So if I find that one in there, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just listen to this one, I guess. It's the only one, again, from that album that we have currently saved in right now, but at least the playlist I'm thinking of. But he's got that track where now I've been rambling as well too. I don't even remember what. If they love when I rap and I don't even use a chorus, and it's like, yeah, that's true. Because when you're just dropping a bunch of bars, it's always again when a rapper's just dropping a bunch of bars, it's always it's them in their bag. It's about as good of a track as you're gonna get. You might be as good as Michael Phelps on the low, the slowest you felt, but your pride too high. Just ask for help. See you the problem. I figured you out. How I know? Because I know myself. See, now we've got him being introspective, chat, kind of dropping knowledge now. I mean, Joey's always, of course, had a sense of wisdom and maturity in his bars, even if he's always, even still been a younger guy in the game as well. But again, it just as he gets older and gets into his prime, he is entering his prime, but as the game, the guys break out younger as well too, stuff as well. Like we see the generations forming quicker now. Like there is a veteran thing that he has as well too. And again, comparing him to Cole, I guess, again, lyrically, production wise, there is an overlap to him and Cole in a way. And Cole, talked about that a lot as well too, of kind of being in that middle ground a little bit. But yeah, this is a vibey track right here, chat. Hey yo, and we should be paying attention to the production credits here on Genius, I guess, if that's what we're looking for, because we do have some new names here, at least for this one that for what I'm familiar with. Again, not necessarily knowing the most amount of names other than just the main guys in the game at this point. But again, Joey does have his in the past collection of guys as well too. So I guess I did see some Static Selecta on the beats in the past, but the guys on this one are newer names for me. So crushing that one. And hey, yo, we're kind of so this is a little bit more consistent vibes, I guess. Like we were saying, kind of Joey chilling out in his thoughts, dropping bars. This one, I guess we do get a couple of verses in a sense on this track, but he is putting work on the choruses here, chat. And I guess this is actually what I guess we're calling a verse. So he's just mixing up the cadence. This is almost a little bit of that. It's got some jit vibes, a little bit of kind of that high pitched ish, kind of quicker paced, literally like shorter bars, shorter lines, quicker rhymes, shorter rhymes, quicker rhymes. Hey, yo, chat, who's jid between me and Joey here? But this is another great track as well too. So we always just end up falling for these sleeper cuts on the end of the album. It is what it is, but Joey just in his bag dropping bars is, like we're saying, definitely going to win us over at the end of the day. So the production on these tracks is continuing to match that type of quality, and we're continuing to get winners here, chat, to add into the playlist. And like we're saying, this is a tough time to drop an album as well too, not just because there have been a ton of albums, but a ton of great albums, a ton of guys that he's kind of competing with in that same type of tier right now. Jid and I guess Pusha T and Clips are a little bit more legacy guys. Tyler the Creator maybe a little bit more popular at this point as well too. Again, there's been a lot of quality music projects, great guys, names in the mix at this point. So there is again a pretty high bar to clear at this point, not to just because there is a competitive nature to this. And like with Joey, like with any of these guys, at some point you go back to the album and go, removed from the competitive nature of the instant, just the expectations of the instant release and the again, the competitive nature of the albums that it's being compared against when it's released. Like, there, you do see the quality and you do see the ability to just revisit the songs that you love, of course. But again, there is an expectation for the in the moment stuff right now, for the bar of what an album has to be. And for Joey to step up and be competing again, production and rhymes, from what we've seen so far in 2025, is as great a project. And again, against some guys that have formed some projects as well too over time. So I know Tyler did also put together a quicker project as well. So who knows? Maybe Joey even has another album, I guess, that he is, I guess, I don't know, working on or has completed / worked on at this point as well. But to, again, even drop the stuff in the quicker production cycle to match the quality of what we've gotten in 2025 is a crazy task as well too, that he is currently pulling off. And to provide those introspective lyrics as well too, because again, I think maybe the other thing that Kendrick did kind of switch as well too, and like we were saying, we did see Tyler go this route, was the little bit of the braggadocious route as well. So I guess, Jid obviously was, a variety of ranges and emotions on that album, but same with the clips as well too. And Malice and his in interviews, and definitely in the course of his tracks, you get the sense of the journeys that he's taken and the stories that he's laying out. But there is, again, just at the end of the day, a braggadocious sort of gangster rap type thing, that their energy that is going to be brought to those tracks and to the music that they're making at the end of the day. So yeah, again, just at least stylistically in the field for 2025 as well too, there is a lyrical value that this project does provide. Because again, especially here in the B side of the album, there is a laid, like, and I'm sure in the underground and some of the more low-key projects that maybe I just haven't checked out yet, there is a chill vibe that you do definitely get. But again, there is a laid back, introspective energy here that I don't think we've gotten from some of the major projects in 2025. And it's to say that, and again, to combine that with the sort of feature heavy list at the beginning of the album as well too, where the energy is mixed up there. So we still have, I guess, Rhapsody and Ab-Soul would definitely be on a track that would fit in this type of vibe. Oh, we got Jay Versace on the production here, chat, along with Max Theodore. Ayo, shout out Speeding Through the Rain. I mean, it already has the sound of a great track for sure. But this is, now we're just back to Joey not experimenting with any of the vocal patterns, any of the different stuff. This is that basic, or not basic, this is that standard Joey flow, that traditional flow that we're used to, that chill sort of jazzy beat right here. I mean, we're always talking about guys mixing up production and guys, pushing sounds for and all this stuff. Like, but I don't know, for some guys, it's like, maybe I just want, in a way, the same, pause. It's crazy, but in some ways, the same thing. Oh, are we still going, chat? We just got an alert about some technical difficulties. So here, let me check something real quick, and hopefully everything's going okay. I guess we're still recording for the pod, so we should be good to go there. But let me see. Hopefully we're still live. Ayo, should we be keeping track the entire time? Probably, but it is what it is, chat. We got a great album by an artist that we love, and we just can't, I guess, pay attention to literally whether or not we're live at this point. Okay, I think we are good. Barely. Ayo, it is what it is. But the note that I got from IT said we're good. So barely or not, I mean, we weren't necessarily expecting it to be, again, a high level production where literally it's whispering Rem and Sam NPR edition. And maybe that's literally the first thing we should say. So ASMR, NPR? I don't know. Whichever edition it is. It's, again, we're still working with not the peak setup. But as long as we're going, we're going. Okay, so here we go, chat. Back to the features. Rhapsody, Absol on the track. Maybe, well, I guess, we got Ty Dolla $ign. We got great guys on the rest of the feature list as well, too. But for 2025, maybe the highlight features of the track list. And again, already on as a single, but the first time we're hearing it as well, too. So you can tell the drums are going to really kick in here, chat. The piano is haunting. It's waiting. There we go. We got the rest of the beat kicking in. This does feel like kind of a perfect Ab-Soul beat as well. In the Ab-Soul, Joey features that was on not Ab-Soul's last album. I don't think Joey was on. Well, I think he might have been, actually. Here, let me double check. I guess let me see what songs I have saved from Joey, or from Soulburger. Shout out. But I don't remember if Joey was on Soulburger or not. Yeah, he wasn't, chat. Shout out. So to this project, great project for sure. I mean, shout out to Ab-Soul's projects in general. But between Herbert and Soulburger, definitely a couple of great ones into the mix as of late. But they're featured together on Soulburger is a really great song. So, and again, really great soulful production as well too. So this is a little bit darker. That is definitely a little bit more of a, there is just a little bit more of a standard soulful vibe to that other track. But a good one for Rhapsody as well too. And again, that introspectiveness that Rhapsody can provide into the mix as well. And to get a lady lyricist on the track list as well. I don't know, if that's something that he's had a ton of over the course of his albums as well. So here we go. Ab-Soul chat. Hey, yo. The crazy first bars. We might have to, I was going to say, we go back and re-listen to that, but let me look that up here. That was like, just 3, 4, 5, 6, it's just like rhyme right away. Really setting the tone with the start there. Let's double check and see what we got. Taking advantage of my vantage point, for sure. Cannon pointed at my adversaries that I can't anoint. Okay, I thought he was going to say a point there. I was going to say 3 points. Does that count? But anoint is a different word, so that is now he's cooking, chat. The fifth horseman appointed. There it is. 3 out of 4. The fifth horseman appointed to redirect the apocalypse in the Impala, flipping the hydraulic switch. I mean, we can't even judge him, chat. It's one of the best, obviously. Like we were saying, Kendrick, studied his game to rhyme like him. Taking advantage of my vantage point, cannon pointed at my adversaries that I can't anoint. The fifth horseman appointed to redirect the apocalypse in the Impala, flipping the hydraulic switch. See, chat? He got us line 4 and we tripped over our words. Steering the fortune wheel, still I'm 10 steps ahead. Ayo, something surely afoot. Then blindfolded stare in the mirror. Can't even look myself in the eye. I don't even know how I look, but the long-term legacy stand taller than yours. On Mission Impossible with probable cause, family connected to me indefinitely. Enemies close, I'm a devious host. Smart martyr disguised remarkable author. Take the glass of absinthe in my absence. Chat, we just watched Girls Trip as well too. What a reference. It may just make your heart grow fonder, or at least grow stronger. I got to go farther for the sake of my daughters. I said go farther for the sake of my daughters, for the sake of my soul. We saw chat. Ab-Soul might have dropped the best verse on the album. Low key. I don't know. He was cooking, I'm not going to lie. And, we got minor contributions from Rhapsody, I'm not going to lie. It would have been nice to seen him give her a verse, but that was apparently not the case as well too, or who knows what she sent back when he said, what are you going to do when you feature? But yeah, shout out to Ab-Soul, definitely the best feature on this. I mean, as you would expect, he definitely was the lead for best feature in terms of the odds, but definitely lived up to those expectations as well too. And we kind of get that dark piano again as well too. At the last chat, I like the beat here as well. I mean, I gotta say again, the production on the back half of the album, there, the kind of the dark jazzy vibes is really great. I do kind of wish that he had committed to that a little bit. I wonder if he had just committed to that for the whole album, because it does feel different from what he has in the past. Again, there is a soulful kind of overall uplifting energy to his projects, where 2012 there is again a boom bappy jazzy energy there, but again it's a little more neutral to positive in tone as well, and then scattered throughout, but overall that would be the vibes through the rest of his projects. And then the energy, like I'm saying, that he's bringing here would be a good mix for that. But just the mix of beats in general is good as well. But he really did a great job of, again, curating those kind of jazzier beats for sure. So chat, Joey, I gotta say, the way, again, 2025, it's going to go down as a year where we just ate for good music, chat. It is what it is. The playlists were packed mighty full as well. Hey, yo, we had like a little beat drop out back in the piano horns on this one. Is this the best beat of the album, low key? I don't know. Do we have to listen to that again? I feel like I should go get some lotion. I'm itching my nose a sketchy amount here. Okay, chap. We got one listen for the album. Do we listen to this one again or Sabrina Carpenter? I don't know. Let me take a break and get some moisturizer and Ayo. And then we'll be back. I'll make a decision right after this. Okay, chat, we are back. I don't know if we fired up too loud there or not, especially since it's getting into sleeping hours. I don't know. We should probably log off soon. Uh, Anyways, it is what it is. But I gotta say, if we re-listen to the first track in the earbuds, the way that Joey was doing the vocal performance in that first track, again, that was a single. We should have heard that already, but there was, again, speaking of Cole, some definite Cole in the way that he was doing side kind of the cry out uh, flow there a little bit as well. So I was trying to think of another album to compare this to besides the off season. If we were doing like draft prospect comps for this album, but this does again have there's some very off season comparisons in some of the beats here, in moments as well. But little off season, a little God Does Like Ugly as well. But this beat, this second beat it's maybe between this and Lonely at the Top, but that's just a sign of a great album. As you go back there and you're like, oh no, maybe this was the best beat, maybe this was the best verse, maybe this was the best feature as well. So this will be again great to add this into the rotation and see how it continues to play. But do we let's just quickly give Sabrina Carpenter's album a listen here. This is to wind down in the evening, chat. That's what you listen to, right? Sabrina Carpenter for sure. I mean, definitely in the evening. I don't know if we listen to it to wind down, but let's see. Also, the first track of this one was a single, which again we did not hear. But Manchild, oh chat, hey yo, okay, it's got some kind of throwback vibes to it. I don't know what kind of era she is supposed to be, and maybe for this one specifically as well too, what maybe this is inspired by. Yeah, speaking of rollouts, the way we were following Joey's rollout, we were not following this one. And speaking, I guess outside of her Instagram post for it, and speaking of the rollout as well too, we didn't really mention, well, we I guess did mention a little bit the Lonely at the Top stuff as well. But I guess again the rollout stuff that he was doing earlier at the year was more so than just, I think, some of the like you're saying, sparring, not meaningless sparring, but just some of the lighter sparring type stuff. But I think it did generate a conversation that did prove that, at least again in the hip hop space, I mean, as you would expect, but there is a needle a little bit that he is a conversation driver in a way. I think maybe a little more so than, again, just in general, some of the overall numbers might show. And I think did set himself up to be anticipated a little bit extra for. So we'll see what kind of, how ultimately that affects for it. But yeah, Chad, I gotta say, for the people that says, speaking of Taylor Swift, I guess, she's definitely always now that football's back, make no mistake, we're talking about Taylor Swift again. It is what it is, Chad. Just what happens. I guess the NFL season just means Taylor Swift's back. But at this point, it is what it is. But for the people that say, Sabrina Carpenter, there's some Taylor Swift stuff. I remember, there's some definite, do we say controversy? But there was some definitely conversation going on there. I don't even remember what it was, but like what the specifics of it were. But I think it was definitely like, I'm guessing it was just like Sabrina Carpenter is, copying Taylor Swift. But guess what? I gotta say, listening to Manchild, hey yo, I don't know which Taylor Swift song this sounds like, but this sounds like a Taylor Swift song, for sure. For sure. I feel like maybe I have heard this song at a Ross and was like, oh, is this a new Taylor Swift song? So shout out. I feel like there was again, like a funky vibe to that. What was the name of that last album, chat? Was it called Espresso, or is that just Short and Sweet? Yeah, that's what it was. Short and Sweet. Hey, yo. Speaking of, Sabrina Carpenter just describing herself perfectly in her album titles. It is what it is. So, I mean, she has definitely leaned into this certain type of branding around her albums as well too. But I guess you can't really say she's ripping off Taylor Swift because that was always kind of the thing with Taylor Swift as well too. It's like there is kind of like a kidness to her music as well too, where it's like, oh, the moms and the daughters, like everybody's, and I guess from a pop standpoint, again, everybody's listening to Sabrina Carpenter, but she is again, I think going for it a little bit more, you would say, for sure. But uh, yeah, I guess an upbeat pop track to start the album as well. I feel like the beginning of it wasn't the same as the rest, but I guess maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just the way I don't know. I don't say it was the vocals, but also bars versus just pop, and it is what it is as well too. You're gonna gravitate toward what you gravitate toward. But does she have the R&B cuts on the back of the album? Solo track list as well too. My Man on Willpower. Okay. We'll see what we got here. Does she sample? We need to maybe do the hit. Did you see the backstory? I guess not the backstory, but just the career catch up. Is that the way we say it? The career catch up on Sabrina Carpenter, and see what's going on. But yeah, there is definitely. And I guess if your vocals sound a certain way, like we were just saying, Joey sounded like Cole, so it is what it is. I mean, you're gonna sound like. I mean, I'm sure, you can say the same thing about us. It is what it is. But which other pod says it is what it is all the time? Just put us in that list. But it is what it is. But yeah, there is definite influences being brought out as well. Like, I would say that maybe it was like a Olivia Rodrigo's production that was getting controversial compared to, I don't know if just the Swifties, again, they're a brutal group, so I don't know if they're just so protective that any other artist that emerged that is even influenced by her, artists can't even be influenced by Taylor Swift as well. Like, also, now I'm I'm going the other way. I'm just battling this imaginary Swiftie argument, but it's like also again, you can't be influenced by somebody, and other people can't pay homage in this type of way. But again, you can't just like overtly be ripping off a style and just be like, okay, I guess Taylor Swift type music beats and just Taylor Swift type lyrics the entire time. But it does seem like maybe she would be a little vocally closer as well too, because I guess again, pop production, I guess in some ways you would listen to like all different types of whatever sub genre of hip hop you would like. You could listen to beats in that and be like, okay, there is certain versions of it that there's a certain style that all sounds the same. So for me, like, it's all pop music sound the same, but the vocal layering as well too, like this, I don't know. Here, let me go check out the last album, Short and Sweet. Let me just hit the shuffle and play a random song and see what pops up. Oh, Please Please, the second song. Okay, so let's see what we got here. This might be, does this have the same Taylor Swift-esque vibes? And I guess I don't really know outside of anything that I've heard. I'm really thinking maybe I should say like, because I guess for me it would be like 1989 would have been the album that I would have been listening to back in the day. I feel like everybody was listening to that album, so that would be kind of maybe the version. But I kind of feel like some of that vocal layering type stuff where there's like a distant not distant, but there's like a chorusy thing she's doing a little bit on some of the hooks that does feel a little unique, or she's just popularized it, she's so popular that it just becomes associated with her in that type of way. Oh, I was gonna say I forgot I was listening to the old album. I was like, wait, Barry Keoghan's on this little Spotify reel here, but yeah, this is for the 2024 version as well. So yeah, it does feel like the production, but the vocal performances are pretty similar as well. Let's go Bad Chem Chat. But I feel like this one there is like a quick sing thing that she does as well. And I feel like she does do that on Espresso a little bit. Make no mistake, we have heard Espresso a couple of times. It is what it is. There we go again, chat. But that song, speaking of songs played, that song will get played and was getting played a couple times back in the day. So I guess this does seem like it's in the vibe of what she's doing and what we're talking about. But there is there is a little bit of a uniqueness to it that I think she is definitely, kind of making it her thing as well. And there's kind of a funkiness to the production as well, where I mean, the espresso, I got the squabble up lyrics in my mind. That crossover was definitely popular, and was the audio on that was definitely being used a lot. So I'm just I just can hear Kendrick as well too every time I hear this beat. It is what it is. And the way that the squabble up beat is kind of the same bounce. I mean, again, that ultimately is kind of what makes it line up, but it kind of elevates this song as well too in my mind. But I guess, yeah, her on the chorus does sound like her from this album that we were just listening to, Man's Best Friend. So we got, again, she's kind of doing her thing and being consistent with it. But I can see the comparisons as well. But like we're saying, and not just Joey to Cole, as well, and not even just flows. Like we were saying, does Tyler maybe not steal, but is Tyler follow certain career things that certain guys do? And this guy is copying flows that this guy has, and this guy's copying it's just like, again, people are paying him, taking homages and influences and doing whatever. But shout out, maybe we download this and listen to this on the plane, and on the I don't know, the plane, the BART, the AO, the whatever, chat. We got some rides, some walks, some stuff going on over the next couple of days. So maybe this album, we promise, chat. We promise Sabrina Carpenter fans to listen to this album in full. Here, we'll pause it because obviously we have to focus for the rest of the live stream. That's the only reason. But, maybe we follow Sabrina Carpenter on Instagram and see if the album is available that way as well too, because I think it pops up on Instagram once you hit the follow button. Is that true? I don't know. Somebody told me that. But yeah, shout out our guy Joey with a great project for 2025. We are excited that he is back with new music. We're excited that football is back, chat. Hey, yo, this is great. Again, like we said, NFL is in full swing next week, and I guess we'll be back in full swing, in the home studio, chilling, hanging out when the NFL season is ready to go. I'm I was gonna say I'm excited that the live stream course is over. So, I'm excited that we got to go live tonight. That we were actually able to get this whole setup to work. Of course, we got to shout out Sam as well too, for shout out Sam and Naya for the hookup and setting us up in such a nice reservation that was able to. Where they were like, we got to get this man a room for the pod. I don't know if that was in the back of their mind, but, setting us up with a nice room that was also able to help us out with this as well, too. In the room that we had, again, in San Fran, like, outside of the fact that it only had Food Network, like, if that type of room would have been, a more permanent situation, obviously we would have had to maybe correct that as well. I mean, it was an older TV as well, so it's just these days that's a simple fix as long as you can tap into some kind of Wi-Fi situation. But kind of a nice little shower as well too, in a nice hotel room. Like I did kind of like the vibes of like a smaller. It wasn't even just like because we did, of course, see smaller versions of bigger chains, but just, again, kind of a smaller local-ish hotel as well, too, where there was almost a little apartment-y type vibe to, a little more, I guess, I don't know if homey is the right word, because I guess, it doesn't really feel like a home type setup, but it felt a little more, I guess, of the city is maybe a right way to say it. Versus, of course, this, now we're actually like in a hotel, we're traveling, we're doing the thing for sure. But that does feel like, okay, you're staying in, because, with Airbnbs, the last time a couple of times we've taken trips with some of the guys as well, too. Like, again, you stay in an Airbnb, you have a little bit of that. And I guess we've Airbnb'd, I've maybe been in an Airbnb house situation. I mean, Airbnb, I'm trying to think if we Airbnb'd it. The place we Airbnb in Chicago that one time. You guys don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm just thinking about random stuff, but I'm trying to remember if one random Airbnb we had in Chicago was an apartment or a townhouse or like a separate house situation. Because I remember we had to, we'd have to get the champ on to tell this story. We had to, there was a back window that we did need access to at one point. We'll just say that. So I don't remember why it had a back window. If it was, but it wasn't. It wouldn't have been a standalone house and around the downtown-ish Chicago area at that point. But anyways, who knows? But regardless, yeah, it is a little bit nice to have again a nice little room for sure. But again, shout out the whole staff. Up to this point has been great. The other day, bumming around the area of San Fran that we were in then, and now to be in the area of the Bay that we are now. We are looking forward to heading off to the venue to celebrate the big wedding tomorrow. Hey, yo, shout out to Sam and Naya. Congratulations that we finally, basically, we're getting to the day at this point. I guess we can't start saying I don't know what the rules are for speaking on it. So maybe we should just stop talking at this point. We've, used up our congratulations at this point. But, again, it is what it is. It's a special day. So we're excited for them, and we're excited that they're letting us show up, chat. They're letting us be a part of it. Hey, yo, we'll get you intel. We've got our James Bond pen that we're gonna put in our shirt. So tune into the YouTube live stream from the pen on the shirt. Hey, yo, the glasses, chat. We'll have the glasses with the hidden camera in them during the dinner, and you guys the after party, and we'll just be live streaming the whole time. No, of course not. We'll be enjoying and having a good time. Plus, we don't go live on Saturdays. Chat, it is what it is. When we go live on Saturdays during Sam and Naya's wedding for the channel, for the show, I mean the YouTube IT, make it happen. Unfortunately, IT, did you guys get invited? Is IT even here? I don't even know. Did we get plane tickets for IT? I mean, one solo trip for, obviously Sam's wedding is not even a question, but if we have to start paying for IT to come along as well too, because IT, they're freeloading, chat. I feel like they'd have a hard time flipping the bill. But I mean, obviously for Sam, everybody's gonna pull up. So I think IT is gonna make an exception. Is IT just gonna wander around the venue and hope they get invited in? We'll see what happens, chat. We'll be walking over to the venue and be like, wait a second, is that IT wandering around outside? Shout out IT. Your guys are like, who's IT? IT, the producers of the pods. IT, you guys know IT. Shout out. But yeah, we better log off, chat. The people on the other side of these hotel rooms are like, thankfully this thing is winding down. Hey, yo, look, if we subscribe now, will you stop? If we subscribe now, will you turn this into a page of Patreon? Can we Patreon this hotel with some soundproof walls? Hey, yo, chat, it is what it is. No, we'll for the sake of the hotel, we'll take off. We'll go hang out for the rest of the evening, watch some crazy college football tomorrow, and then go to the wedding, report, and then hopefully, be coherent enough to report back Sunday. I mean, I guess for our own sake, we don't want to be, and for their sake, we don't want to be, the point where we would be so, because what would that mean for the day before? It's like, we're so incoherent on Sunday that we can't do it. I guess, it's like so down bad that we can't do a live stream that, what did that mean for Saturday? But, yeah, we'll see with a full report, full footage from the hidden cameras on the next live stream. Tune in, subscribe to the YouTube. You can follow the pod on the Spotify, Apple, the podcast feeds as well too. Of course, what are those podcast feeds called, chat? Podcast feeds. That's right. Hey, yo, shout out. They're out there. The REMINGTOM pod is on them. Of course, still uploading currently. I guess we'll see if the internet Wi-Fi can get this thing uploaded. It is what it is. That's one last one for the road. So shout out. Hopefully, again, like I said, we will continue to. We'll be here through the weekend. Shout out to, again for this day. So we'll be here through the weekend. Hopefully, we'll be live Sunday night I guess sometime Sunday as well too. Continuing the normal schedule, and we should again be back normal schedule Tuesday. We'll be cooking, chat. We will be cooking. But yeah, we'll be here hopefully sometime Sunday in the hotel setup, hanging out as well. And I guess we wouldn't have any college. Do we make a decision right now? Do we just go live during one of the games? Because I guess again they are kind of earlier. So not to say that the flight is at a nice manageable time. on Monday. So it's a little bit of a trek to the airport, but again, we shouldn't have a problem. Monday, we should be fine by Monday. So we should be able to get going for that. So, but again, yeah, for the point being, a earlier game Sunday night would still be helpful as well too. So wait, let's see what we get. Can we sort this by just like ranked teams? Because I guess that would be much more interesting. I'm assuming there is going to be one. Is that LSU? Don't they always play on Saturday night? Oh, they got Saturday night versus Clemson. Sunday though, and then Arizona State on Saturday night. Maybe we don't have a Sunday. Oh, wait a second. Oh, yeah, Notre Dame Miami is Sunday. That's not Saturday. So, Chad, we might just be live during the Notre Dame Miami game and just hang out during that. That would make the most sense. So stay tuned, subscribe to the YouTube to find out if we're live if that's when we go live, because that would seem like a fun time. Notre Dame Miami, maybe up next, Chad. We'll see you next time. Have a good night. Peace.